Here we go.
Okay. Let me locate us. See if I can. Hi, everyone. I'm almost there. I'm almost there. With one hand, I'm doing this. With the other. Okay. Hi, everyone.
Hey, everybody.
Still looking for us.
Well, look for us. We should be on. Got green lights and everything.
Okay. Yay. Here we are. Okay. Did you guys miss us? We've been gone for a while. It has been a crazy, crazy week, hasn't it, Duke?
Oh, yeah. And it's only Monday.
Yep. I found us, and we got good sound. And okay, now I just got to load this one. And come on, page. Oops. Here we go. I just got to load this one. Oops. Hold on. Having some technical difficulties. I'm missing a cord. Uh-oh. Where's my green cord? Oh, there it is. Jeebus. Sorry about that, folks. Here we go. Why don't you start the music?
All right.
Music.
Your body's moving like a hurricane. They gave me warning, I can't turn away. I'm stuck in a state of emergency. It's gonna be hard to push the urge away. Your body's moving like a hurricane. I know your stone gon' break my vertebrae. So I tried packing all my things up until I couldn't push the urge away. You my hurricane, hurricane. You got that category 5 glow, that type of curve that you could spot in other time zones. Tired horse riding, cause you know just what I need. You a pro at breaking odds, but you be acting so naive. Ease up with the mind tricks, I just watch the time tick. You just robbing money from me, how come I'm the sidekick? Doses of your power, it's a drug, you got me hooked. Goddamn, now I just can't help but look. Your body's moving like a hurricane. They gave me warning, I can't turn away. I'm stuck in a state of emergency. It's gonna be hard to push the urge away. Your body's moving like a hurricane. I know your stone gon' break my vertebrae. So I tried packing all my things up until I couldn't push the urge away. You my hurricane, hurricane. It's gonna take a lot, I guess, for y'all to listen to the truth. Darling, you just want attention, I feel like I'm Charlie Puth. Walk on stage and work the crowd, I'm calling shots like I was Ruth. Please don't offer me a line, I drop enough inside my booth. You got that category 5, I know soon you'll break my levee. So I crash into them thighs, got me drowning off your jetty. Heavy doses of your power, it's a drug, you got me hooked. Goddamn, now I just can't help but look. Your body's moving like a hurricane. They gave me warning, I can't turn away. I'm stuck in a state of emergency. It's gonna be hard to push the urge away. Your body's moving like a hurricane. I know your stone gon' break my vertebrae. So I tried packing all my things up until I couldn't push the urge away. You my hurricane, hurricane. I can't turn away. No, I cannot turn away. I can't never it's gonna be hard to push the urge away.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing it. And I excuse me. I want to thank everyone for sending us information. I know we've been away for a while.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just going to jump in and get started. This is Mexican Crossing Line with your hosts, Cindy Gomez-Schempp.
And Duke Gomez-Schempp.
And you're listening to 88.1 FM KPPPLP Fargo Moorhead, where we are adding local color to your airwaves. You can also find our past shows, including the very last one that I did on Judge Kavanaugh in the age of the Me Too movement, all on our website at kpppfm.com. And of course, we appreciate all of the information and support that you give to our station and our work. Duke, how can folks get a hold of us?
Well, there's many ways. One way is to look at the bottom of your screen is a call-in line. It's actually a message line. It's 701-566-0917. You can give us a call, leave a message up to 3 minutes. It's a voicemail basically, and we'll listen to that. And sometimes we put them on the air. If you don't want to put it on the air, let us know. Give us a tip that way. And there's also other ways to get hold of us. Email is cindy@kpppfm.com, duke@kpppfm.com. You can also follow us on Facebook at 88.1 FM Fargo Moorhead, the People's Press Project of Mexi-Can. You can find Cindy's public page is at Cindy Go Schempp. You can also tweet us at media_PPP. And also, as Cindy mentioned, our website, our main website for our radio station, kpppfm.com. You can go there and you can go to the Mexican Crossing Lines and look at all the shows over there. And on each show, we post the audio, and then we post videos. This actual live stream will be posted there. But we convert it to a YouTube video in high definition, so it's a little bit nicer to watch on a bigger screen. And it's basically the whole entire video. And you can go check it out there. You can also comment on any of our shows at kpppfm.com. And they have a contact form. We have a contact form on our website, and you can contact us that way and send attachments. But a lot of people use the Facebook site, and that's another easy way to actually send attachments and send messages. So we do appreciate everybody that gets a hold of us. We read through all the stuff. Sometimes it takes us a while to use it. Sometimes we don't respond back, or maybe we should just give you a thumbs up, to just let you know, we received it, but we do receive them, and some of them do sit there for a bit before we actually pull in the information and use it, or get back to you and those sorts of things. But we do appreciate all the involvement that people have been getting involved in with our program and with bringing information to us.
I haven't been on social media a lot this last week because much like when the Me Too movement was kind of reignited in the last year, I was really triggered as a survivor. It was very triggering for, I think, a lot of women across the country having to see all of the people talking about hashtag why I didn't report.
Yeah.
It's been very difficult to reopen those wounds on a national stage during these Kavanaugh hearings, and the way that they have been handled leaves much to be desired. It makes, I think, women feel re-victimized and unheard, invisible. And victims have been struggling throughout the process of watching Judge Kavanaugh acting in such an ugly fashion. It wasn't just the fact that he very clearly appeared to be lying under oath repeatedly to the Senate Judiciary Committee, but it was above and beyond that, the way the disparities showed up in the questioning, because we had a prosecutor question the victim. The victim is not on trial here. This is, according to the Senate Judiciary Committee and everyone else, a job interview for Judge Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court, to ascend to the Supreme Court potentially. And so I found that to be disturbing, although I can imagine that it was very useful for the Senate Judiciary Committee males on the Republican side not to be seen attacking a victim for the optics, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then they stopped using her when it came to questioning the judge. And I thought, that's very unfair because she was questioning him. It appeared like she was going to be questioning him in the same fashion that she had questioned Dr. Ford. And in other words, fairly.
Yeah, exactly.
And instead of continuing down that line of questioning, which seemed to be making Judge Kavanaugh very uncomfortable, they just stopped and started basically giving speeches and you know, then you had, you know, Graham come out there and throw a fit.
Yeah.
Almost as bad or worse than Judge Kavanaugh himself. And of course, as you know, there have been numerous women that have come forward. I think the count is up to 5 now.
Yeah.
And it feels like while Dr. Blasey Ford was, you know, being questioned about coming before the Judiciary Committee, there were one after another woman, now to include at least these 3 that we know their names, because there are others that are still anonymous.
Yeah.
But we have Dr. Ford, we have Deborah Ramirez, and we also have Julie Swetnick. All credible allegations that should be thoroughly investigated. And as we now know, there is a limit of scope and topics being placed on the FBI investigation into Judge Kavanaugh's sexual misconduct.
Yeah.
So that is very, very disheartening for me as a victim, as a survivor. And I know that for millions of women across the country, that pain, that ache, that open sore has been, bleeding all week. And it will continue as we wait for the results of the FBI investigation, and as we wait to see whether it matters an iota to the country, to the Senate Judiciary Committee, to the Senate floor in its total, that all of this information comes out, and they still put him on the Supreme Court anyway.
Yeah. And it's been hard too. I can understand, because after the hearings happened, then they've been replayed and discussed and analyzed. And each day that goes by and you look back at what actually happened, you can see it. It's worse to look back at going, oh my God, what was happening? I was kind of in shock. And the whole process. But then as you start going backwards and analyzing what happened through that whole hearing and how it happened and what's happened afterwards. Yeah, it's like every day is like we have to wait and see what's going to happen with this limited scope FBI investigation, and whether that's going to make any difference, whether I'll even hear anything about what was investigated, what was found, because it's supposed to be closed sessions with the senators. And you would think that, I don't know, it's hard for me to actually anticipate any of them doing the right things because of the way people have behaved. And it does, I think it causes re-trauma, more trauma, and continues to show how women are not respected, sexual abuse, and rape is not taken seriously. And, it's just evident that they're trying to create this and maintain this cultural standard that's been there for the misogyny that's been in control of this country. So, I feel it's going to be a hard week for everybody.
It has been an incredibly hard week for everyone, and it will continue to be. And part of the reason why that is because it isn't just difficult to see survivors having to be victimized. I mean, essentially, the entire country is being gaslit by Brett Kavanaugh.
Yeah.
And this Judiciary Committee's reluctance to believe women. And so it's also the fact that during this period of suffering, there are perpetrators that have the audacity to come out and say things like, men are important to consider too, like on the GOP side, where they're saying, When people are saying, think about your daughters and think about the survivors out there, they're saying, think about your sons being falsely accused.
Oh, yeah.
Think about your children, your grandchildren, your husbands being falsely accused, as if being falsely accused is an epidemic, the proportions of rape culture in America, which it is definitely not.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is a false equivalency that slaps you in the face as such a huge insult to women across this country that know. I mean, I listened to a panel of reporters and pundits, all of which were women. And they said, at this point, I don't know, none of us know of any women that aren't themselves survivors or are close to someone in their family or circle of friends that have been sexually violated, harassed, etc.
Yeah.
Women know that it is an epidemic. It is a slap in the face to put that on the same level of the 1 in a million, 1 in a blue moon false accusation of rape. And so it is all of these glaring differences, the way in which the credibility of women is weighed against the credibility of men, that is so triggering, re-victimizing of people in this country about this issue. And I believe that it is important for us to have this discussion right now about how we feel about that, because we need to do better. I mean, we have a Me Too movement that was started over a decade ago by a Black woman that was reignited around the Hollywood, mostly privileged, mostly white women coming forward saying that they had been sexually assaulted and violated and raped.
Yeah. And
yes, that broadened the conversation to the rest of America and to the rest of women. But this new firing of people, or, you know, people having consequences, people going to jail like Bill Cosby recently did, it is a step in the right direction. It is not a problem fixed. It is a step.
Yeah.
And it's a really long time in coming. And so if we are to do better, I mean, we can now dream that there will be some consequences. Maybe all these men won't go to jail and won't have to pay for what they have done yet, although that should eventually happen. Not just losing your job, but having some real consequences for violent crimes such as rape and kidnapping and assault, all of these things that happen to women. But in addition to that, we also need to learn how to talk to each other about sexual assault. We need to be able to have these difficult conversations and confront people that we love, people that are our friends and our neighbors. We need to confront them in that moment, in that love, and say, you have not been an ally. You are an enabler. Remember what I told you about rape apologists. They're usually rapists themselves. That is why they can't come make themselves blame another rapist, because when they think about what that sexual assaulter did, it runs through their mind that they've done something very similar to that and they didn't think it was rape when they were doing it. And or many women do this, many victims of sexual assault and rape themselves do this. They rape apologize because they're enablers. When they think about what happened to them and they hear a woman saying, this was a rape, this was a sexual assault, and they remember it happening to them in a very similar fashion, and no one was punished, and no one even called it harassment or rape, they go, well, if mine wasn't a harassment or a rape, how could yours be?
Yep, true.
And so we have a dysfunction in calling out things what they are. And you know, a lot has been said, Duke, about this being some mistake that he made when he was young. Has he admitted it? Did he? It would have been one thing if he had said, look, I was 17 years old. Everybody drank underage then. I know it was wrong, but I don't do those kinds of things now. I don't drink to excess. Yes, I did when I was in college and high school. A lot of my friends did. I feel really ashamed about doing that. I feel ashamed about the things that I did. I feel really horrible for what those women went through. And it's possible that I did something that I don't remember, but I'm very, very sorry for it. And in the last however many decades that you can go back, you won't find anyone making those kinds of allegations now. But he didn't.
No.
He didn't. And when you don't even acknowledge what you have done, how can we believe you that you are going forward to act in an honorable way? How can we trust when you are literally pulling the wool over our eyes? You're trying to hide your true self. That is not giving us the opportunity to consent to have you in the highest court in the land. That is not giving us the right to consent to whether or not you should be in a place or a position of authority over vulnerable people, making decisions like the ones that he's going to be given the authority to make. Over women's bodies, over women's reproductive rights, over the civil rights of people of color, and the list goes on and on. And so that's part of what I'm going to be talking about today, because as you know, here on A Mexican Crossing Lines, I have been bringing you hard truths about people within this movement at Standing Rock that you may have seen as heroes that have been plastered on billboards in events, that put on panels, on television, in documentaries, and more, and given millions and millions of dollars in support and agency by media platforms and by politicians and other leaders. And it's very disturbing as I have unfolded this story more and more to discover repeatedly how Wes Clark Jr. lied about Nexus and what he knew about Nexus and his dad being involved in Nexus and what he knew about Christina Hollenbeck, one of the people that helped to collect false police reports against Kathleen Bennett. And I'm sure he and Michael A. Wood Jr. were always and continued to work together, because he left SEDEF behind as his CFO so that it just looked like he got kicked out of the organization. But he kept meeting up with and working with all of these folks, including Maggie Day and Seven McDonald, the people he sent out there to do PR, and Desiree Kane. Remember Desiree Kane?
Oh, yeah.
That was recently out there tripping the light fantastic in Spain and Portugal, and then she went back to, remember there was a post when she was in Spain where Ernesto Burbank commented on there. And
oh, yeah, that's right.
he was asking, he said something cryptic about some horses.
Yeah.
A guy with some horses wants to meet up with you.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, heart. And then we see her at a horse race where they are Desiree Kane is putting a handprint of paint over a writer's face, because they're going to write in honor of missing and murdered Indigenous women. And I said, pay attention. What is this woman getting involved with, Desiree Kane? We know where she comes from. We know the shady stuff she's involved with. I have counted over the course of the coverage of her involvement at Standing Rock, and specifically the connections to the Kathleen Bennett story. I have connected her to Wiaka Eagleman, Joy Brun's nephew, I believe, of the Indigenous Environmental Network, who claimed that he was the one that invited her to camp. I've connected her to Remy, a.k.a. Jeremy Frendenberg, who told us that he was in a relationship with her, and also gave her legitimacy as she was trying to pass herself off as a Miwok Indian.
Yep. And
then there was, what was the next person? I can't remember now. Oh, I remember now. Desiree and Lone Bear.
Oh.
Lone Bear. You guys remember the search for Olivia Lone Bear?
Yep.
She was involved with that, and she was also in a romantic relationship, according to Lissa Yellowbird Chase, who was working on that search at the time. I was very concerned, so I contacted her, and I'm like, what in the F is going on? Why are you hanging out doing this? Is dangerous. Run, girl, run!
Yeah.
And she told me Desiree was out there seemingly just cashing in on the opportunity to raise money off of this missing woman. And it looked like her and Matthew Lone Bear, one of the people that was in charge of the search, were just, hanging out in the hotel, cuddling and on the bed and going on social media, and not really in that much of a, interested in searching for this woman, Olivia Lone Bear. And there was a lot of questions that I had about that search after Lissa told me that, she kind of backed away from it because it appeared that there was some possible, malfeasance. I'll put it that way. And then later, I've discovered more recently that she is now in another relationship. Desiree Kane is now in a relationship. Here's a love note from a guy that's titled Aldo Sewani, and that's his name. And I'll show you who he is in a minute. But Aldo Sewani posted this love note saying, somebody left this for him, and he says, that moment when you find a love note that your lady hid so that you would find it on the road. She's a good one. Wifey status. Got me all some kind of way. Love notes.
Wow. And
the love note has 2 little stars, and it says, my sweet tender bear, I can't wait to be in your arms again. And I also noticed that she had updated her relationship status to in a relationship recently. And then there is this picture that confirms that Aldo Sewani and Desiree Kane are together, are hanging out together. This is from Kelly Johnson Revolutionary Photos. Isn't it weird how all of these rich people travel with photographers on hand? They just happen to be there, ready to help.
Yep, they follow them around.
And here is another one in which you can clearly see them being much more affectionate in a hug. Is that the Golden Gate Bridge? Yeah, because they were out in California recently. So of all of those folks that you saw out in California recently, these were some. Here she is, and both of them are wearing shirts from an organization which Aldo Sewani is in charge of. That has to do, it's called Wicha Agli, and it has to do with violence against women.
Okay.
But from the men's angle. It's all men, and they use horses to heal, among other things. So that horseman that she was supposed to meet up with, this is him. Here's the horseman.
Wow.
And Aldo also posted this Desiree listening, and she comments on it. Aldo, Desiree, listen. Here's what was posted by Aldo. Karen posted, men learn consent on the bodies of those who love them. And Aldo said, it's so sad, but true. And then Desiree says, Aldo, I appreciate you listening to me so well when I speak. I didn't know my words had fallen with such impact on you. Though I'm not surprised, even that little thing is a good living example of what being a good and strong listener looks like, as you are pushing other men to do the same.
Wow.
So this is the guy she's in a relationship with. And every time she gets close to these men, she is getting close to men who have some claim to indigeneity. Yeah. Although I don't think Aldo is native from these parts, if he is a native at all. But more on that later. For now, I wanted to show you a little kind of a Me Too video that he did about what he just talked about in this post that I need you to watch. But also pay special attention to the end of this video in which he gives a shout out to an auntie, I think he calls her, named Natalie, that I'm going to be showing you some information about in a bit here.
Good morning, relatives. I wanted to share with all of you a conversation I had with my partner, and it was a pretty good conversation. See if anybody comes on here. Boom, 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 boom. So I wanted to address my brothers, the men in our community, those of you who have partners in your life. I was visiting my partner about everything that's going on with this Kavanaugh decision and how people are traumatized and how people are triggered. And, there's a lot of things to look at. But regardless of what's happening, the first place that we can stand as brothers is to listen to our partners. The reality is that as men, we failed. We're failing when we don't hold our brothers accountable. We're failing when we don't hold ourselves accountable for our actions. And in the wake of what's going on with Kavanaugh, a lot of people are really feeling triggered. Sisters, cousins, mothers, aunties, they're all just feeling what Dr. Ford is feeling, what so many women are feeling constantly, what so many survivors are constantly feeling. And as men, we have complex feelings around when we feel that people that we love are hurt, right? We want to come in and we want to save people. We want to feel like we didn't fail them. So we want to make action. Our egos are telling us we have to do something. When in reality, we just have to sit and listen and hold our relatives. It's not personal. We have to not feel that whatever emotions are being felt right now are attacks to ourselves, but we have to be good relatives, and we have to listen to the women in our lives. We just have to hold them. We have to listen to them. We don't have to make comments about what we think needs to be done or how it needs to be done. Just be still, be quiet, and listen. And our women have strong, beautiful voices, and we need to listen to them and take direction as to how they want to feel safe. It's a hard thing, because as I was looking at everything yesterday, it turned out just like many of us had said, they're going to utilize that for politics when it's not about politics. Democrat, Republican, whatever. It's nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with, we were all brought up, socialized to be violent. We were socialized to be misogynist, to support this kind of patriarchal narrative, and it's wrong. And what's really sad about it is that the reason why Kavanaugh is getting a lot of latitude in this is because all of those men are guilty of perpetuating violence on women. A really hard statement that I heard from my partner when we were talking one day. We were looking at different things, and she said, I really believe that men learn consent on the bodies of the women that love them. And that was probably one of the hardest messages to hear, because there's so much truth in that. As young men, we don't have very healthy models, and it's very taboo for us to talk about our feelings when it comes to sexuality, and men don't want to feel vulnerable, they don't want to feel open, so they act. And in the process, it's very narcissistic in our approaches to one another, and we really need to reconsider how we're teaching our young men in our communities and how we teach our brothers, right? When we're holding them accountable, when we're allowing them to have spaces to feel too, and how we can help our brothers learn how to be good relatives to one another. And in that way, by us policing ourselves, with the direction of the women in our lives, we can have those great strides in our communities to create safe spaces, particularly for younger women that are coming up. So I urge you, my brothers, to sit and listen We don't do that enough. We don't listen enough. Let's listen to the women in our lives. Ask them, how should we move forward? What do you need from me? How can I support you? How can I hold you? How can I hold this space? How can I give you space if you need it without feeling like that it's a personal attack on me? You know, we have to look at those things as relatives. And we have to be open to having hard conversations that cause us to feel things. As a survivor of sexual assault and domestic violence in my own life, you know, there's times where, you know, I feel triggered by these things too. And, you know, we're a part of that group of survivors, you know. And this is very triggering for us too, because when we see someone not being heard and we know we haven't been heard, man, we want to really act. But it's not the time. The time is to listen. And the time is to prepare ourselves to seeing how we can make the world a better place, particularly for those we love. So brothers, I urge you, all of you, to be good relatives to your partners, especially during this time. Just listen. You don't have to make statements. You don't have to do anything. Just listen to them. Hello, Auntie. Good to see you on there. You know, so I just wanted to share that piece, because a lot of our brothers are trying to understand, like, where do we land? You know, where's our place in all of this? You know, we want to go out there and beat people up. Nah. We have to be good relatives and just sit and listen to the women in our lives, because I think the most important thing is, though, even though we want to change the world, sometimes we got to change our homes, right? Like, it's about our personal experiences and experiences in our family and modeling that behavior so it's not repeated. So we have conversations in our homes. If we can create the environment within our homes safe, and we can show what the world should look like, you know, for our relatives, then there will be a model for people to follow. When people come into our homes, they see that, they feel that energy. And that's where our focus needs to be, is on how are we creating safe spaces within our homes, within our communities, so that this kind of violence doesn't have a place there. Because it's just ridiculous what was yesterday. A very strong, courageous woman, several women came up in opposition to this man. And I think that kind of there's like a moral imperative for them, right? You know, it goes beyond just their own experience, but they were protecting other people. They were protecting millions of people. Dr. Ford really was creating a safe space for everyone. It's beyond just her personal experience. She did something that was really amazing. And for them to make it something as trivial as politics is horrible. You know, it's not right to do that. So, brothers and sisters out there, you know, love you bunches. I hope that my brothers can hear this in a good way, and, you know, take a deep breath. You know, if today your partner's having a hard time, if yesterday she was having a hard time, if tomorrow, if any day, take a breath, think, slow your mind down, and listen. Because probably the reason why you're reacting a certain way is because it's touching a nerve inside of you, and probably touching a part of your life that you're trying to forget, but you need to be accountable for. So I hope you all have a good day. I'm really grateful for my partner for bringing this up. You know, she was telling me how she was looking at different men's pages and how men were trying to create these narratives, but in reality, you know, they just weren't listening. So I really appreciate her courage and her understanding of things, and, you know, being able to bring that to my attention so that we could work together. And I really want to thank the camp that I work with. You know, some of you know that I do roadie work. You know, Brother Greg and I, we have We Cha Ugly, and the reason we do that men's work is because of our own personal life experiences and what we want for our relatives to have better places. And I'm sorry to all my sisters out there. You know, if you feel like maybe sometimes we don't elevate some of your messaging, you know, please let us know, you know, how we can share and how we can support. We definitely want to always support our sisters out there. But I also work as a roadie, you know, and I'm really grateful because on the nonprofit side and the life side with my brother, you know, we're doing this work. And then yesterday I was sitting at work with I work with Neil Young and Promise of the Real, Lucas Nelson, Micah, Corey, Anthony, Tato. And when I went through work yesterday, those hearings were on the TVs everywhere at our venue, backstage, and everyone was engaged, and they were engaged because they care. So I'm lucky that I work and I live in an environment where men care. So I'm grateful to my relatives who care, who are taking the time to listen, who are taking the time to make change, to elevate voices and create safe spaces. To all my sisters out there, keep it up, man. It's hard life, and it's a hard road, and it's not fair. But together, hopefully, we can make some good inroads, and we can make some big changes. Also want to give a shout out to relative Natalie Stites out there, holding it down, raising awareness about what's happening with our Indian children, particularly in South Dakota, but all across this country, and how they're being exploited. Follow her posts, look at what's going on there. Holyoke, I see up there, all kinds of relatives up there. It's good to see my sister Shauna. It's really good to see my relatives up there. So much love to everyone. Brother Steve, thanks, brother, for coming on here and, help us share those good words with our brothers. So, anyway, I got to go. Much love to all of you. Health and help. Talk to you later. Bye.
Okay, quick 3 things I wanted to point out about that. The hearings he was talking about were the Kavanaugh hearings.
Yeah.
The Greg he was talking about is Greg Greycloud.
Okay.
The guy that was one of the headsmen at the camp. And if you'll recall, in my interview with Mulaney Stoneman, the kidnapper, she told me that the headsmen were the ones that decided to kick Mary and Kathleen and her family out of the camp.
Yes.
Manape confirmed that, yes, he was the one that put that woman in jail, falsely imprisoned for 6 months. And the Natalie Seitz was the woman that I was hoping that you'd catch him name in this video that's doing some good work with our children out there. Now I'm going to show you who Natalie Seitz is, and I'm going to play a video, a very heart-wrenching video in which she talks about the baby in question. Okay?
Hi, this is the baby who they're going to take today. The state. This baby is healthy. She's beautiful. Look at the baby. I don't know how this hearing is going to go, but it seems like they have it all stacked up against this baby and against her mom. I don't care what the history is. She's not a danger to this baby right now. She is employed. She has a house. And you know what? People in recovery, they relapse. They have a hard time getting sober. And our people have had a hard time. And it is not fair what's going on here. She deserves another chance with her baby. She is vulnerable to suicide now. She's vulnerable to relapse, the mother. This baby. All I'm gonna do is try to take her to the hearing, and we're gonna help this baby. And we ain't gonna forget her. Or none of them. They're trying to farm them out to different houses. Take all her beautiful babies. Get those foster care reimbursements. Get those Medicaid reimbursements. Dana Lonehill pointed out, what if our Lakota mothers had as much money as the system gets for these kids? They can't even take kids unless they're poor. Unless the baby qualifies for TANF AFDC, a 1996 federal law. I'm not okay. None of us are okay with this. And we're not forgetting this little baby. And I don't know what to do. I'm not a lawyer in this, but I know good people. I know our people are good. And I know that this baby is being put in danger by the state. It is the state. We have an emergency hearing as Lakota. Right here. We have an emergency. They're trying to steal this baby and claim she's unsafe with her mother. They're lying. She is unsafe. She is unsafe with the state. She's unsafe with South Dakota, you understand? She's unsafe with this hospital. Now just pray, everyone pray. The hearing's in like a half hour. I'm trying to be an advocate. I don't think I can when I'm just sitting here crying. I can't imagine this. I'm a mom. I love my babies too. Just because people are poor and addicted, they get to traffic our children. No. No. Dakia Yasin.
Now, I just have to back up before I comment on this video
Okay.
and say something about the Greg, sorry, not the Greg Call-Out, Aldo Sawani, the newest boyfriend of Desiree Kane, whom we know was involved with the organizing of the Veterans Stand for Standing Rock group that was involved in a series of crimes against Kathleen Bennett's family, including kidnapping, false arrest, and an early grave for Mary Trujillo. And this was a most despicable crime because it was perpetrated against two elder Lakota women, one of whom was a vulnerable adult. And Mulaney, in a call that left me breathless, with the most callousness, the coldest, like, I don't care, told me how Mary was dying. She didn't have much time left. She wasn't going to live. And, we know now that even though they reduced her days because she was left in a hospital bed for 6 months, became non-ambulatory, got bed sores, and for the people in the nursing world that know what that's like, this woman was put through hell. She still went on to live for many, many months more in her family's care. So, no, she wasn't about to die. You were about to kill her, Mulaney Stoneman, but she was not about to die. You may also recall Mulaney's own daughter, who participated in the crime of kidnapping Mary Trujillo and making false statements against Kathleen Bennett, which led with her being in jail for 6 months. Okay. All of which we proved on KPPPLP were false. She was exonerated completely, and we got her and her mother home safely. But Mulaney has never had to account for what she did.
No.
None of the people involved, Christina Hollenbeck has never accounted for what she did. Desiree Kane has never accounted for what she did. And she not only did that and never accounted for it, never apologized for it, never had to even explain herself. She is now going on to take up resources and the positions of leadership in the place of Indigenous women while pretend Indianing as a white lady, a rich white lady with ample resources and opportunity. Desiree Kane didn't just start traveling around the world. Now, she's already been around the world many, many, many times. But instead of real Indigenous women being the voices of this movement, she has centered herself in their place, thereby erasing them. And that is wrong. It's fundamentally wrong to its core that is happening, and it would still be allowing this to happen, that other people are giving this woman agency. The more the people know that what she is doing is fundamentally wrong because she has never apologized or acknowledged it, the more people should be holding this woman accountable. But she's still doing what she's doing, and now she's doing it in conjunction with this man. And to the baby crying video, the one that you just watched where she was talking, this auntie of his, Natalie, that was talking about how this baby is being basically kidnapped from its mother. Well, let me tell you why that video concerns me so much. Take a look at who's going to be helping take care of this baby. none other than the kidnapper, Mulaney Stoneman.
Wow.
Can you go to the next one? No, the next one, actually. Next one after that. This one, as you can see, shows that Mulaney Stoneman continues to be, tagged in, or she is tagging Christina Hollenbeck and 41 other women in this post that was just done September 1st this month. And so she has continued to work with these criminals have continued to network and work together. None of them have ever had to account for what they did. So excuse me if I have a little bit of trepidation in believing what these people are saying. Including Aldo Sawani in his video. I mean, I even have a hard time believing whether or not, since I know he's not really from here, only the Lakota people from this area and other natives from this area tend to have that type of an accent. It seems like an affected one, like the one that Christina Hollenbeck put on when she was pretend Indianing at the UN with Menape.
Mm-hmm.
And now put Natalie Baby, sorry. Natalie Seitz posted here. Could you read this one for me?
Yep. Natalie Stites.
Excuse me.
Stites. There's an injustice taking place against a Lakota mother today in the regional hospital. Another baby of hers is being stolen by the state of South Dakota, DSS in Rapid City, South Dakota. Please take action to help this newborn baby. A newborn baby can die without the nurturing embrace of their mother, and the county is taking this baby away from her at 2 days old. The mother and the baby have tested negative of alcohol and drugs. Phone, blah, 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 regional.
Okay, now I want you to scroll, move it up, that same post. Keep going.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I did not grab the one in which Mulaney likes this post.
Well, there's a Mulaney like down here. Is that something different?
Yeah, it is kind of. It is.
Okay, sorry.
But I do have the one where she is tagged with not only the baby's mom, but also the this woman, Natalie Seitz.
Yeah.
And I always have the receipts, so I promise I will show them to you. But for now, trust me that I have them.
Yeah.
I always show you them. I just don't have time to grab them all right now. And I did have a lot of material for this show today.
Yeah.
But it's very important that you understand that Mulaney Stoneman's involvement is highly questionable and also terrifying. And look at the different degrees of separation we have, not only between Hollenbeck and Stoneman, both of which were involved in a crime directly, but also Desiree Kane, which was involved in working with those people and promoting them and continues to do so. You can see why this would be so problematic, that this is the woman that they're funneling to help this baby.
Yeah.
And the way that Mulaney approaches these things is to say that babies should stay with indigenous people, other indigenous people. And she's from there and she's indigenous. So give the babies to Mulaney.
Yeah.
What is Mulaney doing with the babies? I don't know what she's doing with any vulnerable person, because what she did to Kathleen Bennett and what she did to Mary Trujillo were inhumane and criminal. And there is no excuse for that, especially when you've made none, when you've never had to account. So let me show you what she has been posting recently. Mulaney posted this. Do the degree one. She posted this and she said, "Oh, that's the mom. Alday 2 Eagle. Aldney 2 Eagle. I did have it. We do have it.
Yes.
That's the mom of that baby."
Mm-hmm.
And she says, "We have an inherent right to stand up for our women. I don't need a law degree. Tired of systemic institutional genocide. Hashtag, what if it was your baby? If it was my baby, I wouldn't want it anywhere near you, Mulaney Stoneman, because
Exactly.
remember what she did, what Christina and her did. They kept this woman in the hospital, right? They kept monitoring her, and essentially they were like on top of Russell and Kathleen, like they were like spying on them, and they were doing that because behind their back they were trying to get those police reports into the social service system so that they could falsely accuse Kathleen Bennett of abusing her mother. And one of those claims of abuse included rape, for which Mulaney Stoneman tried to have this old woman with dementia violated in a hospital on 3 occasions so that they could do a rape kit on her. She tried and tried and tried again. Wow. This is what these women did. And when they got the guardianship, they, meaning Christina Hollenbeck, got helped Mulaney get this guardianship over this woman. She left her alone in the hospital to die. I asked her, are you taking this woman? So you're going to take this woman home and take care of her? Oh no, she's not leaving the hospital, she said. She never intended to do anything other than collect a check. That's what she does well. I'm sure all of these people are very good at selling. They'd sell their mother if they could collect a check. Their own mother. And there's a long list of people. I'm sure you could add more that were directly involved with this crime that had never had to account, that should not be rearing their ugly heads in the forefront in advocacy or care of vulnerable people, period. Bill Runningfisher is another one of those people. George Manape Lemaire is another one of those people. Red Wolf Pope. And I'm sure that now that they're, charging him for rape, multiple rapes of women, hopefully will be gone for many years in prison so that he won't have the opportunity to re-offend. But he should also, and I'm not talking about the fact that people that have felonies or that people that have done something wrong can never do anything in society again. That's not what I'm saying. Please do not conflate the two. Understand me when I say, like I said about Judge Kavanaugh, it would have been one thing if he had said, yes, I did the things I'm accused of, or I could have. It's possible. I did drink a lot. There's a lot of people that did, but I'm not like that now. I've changed. I've turned a new leaf. I went to addiction counseling. I'm still in AA. I've shown myself to be a person with a clean record with women. All of this. Then you could say, okay, and then you would still have to weigh whether you want someone that has that kind of a history in the highest court, in the top position in the entire country. Okay? That matters. We should definitely not have a pretend Indian like Desiree Kane in the forefront of anything that's supposed to be indigenous. In the same way that we should never have a kidnapper and an assaulter of women like Mulaney Stoneman that also put another woman in jail for 6 months under false accusation, which makes her a liar as well. That woman shouldn't be at the forefront of anything. Yeah. Ed Higgins, Michael Fassig, Michael Marcus, who also has taken a plea deal and is going away for 3 years. I've recently also now seen people posting that they're sick and tired of hearing people saying justice for Michael Marcus or anything like that because he is a rapey man with girls, not with women, with girls. Now, I know that is rumor and innuendo, but let me tell you, one of the people that told me that, which is why I'm willing to repeat it on the air, was Russell Vasquez. He told me that he did ceremonies on his reservation with this man, and they did know that he really was a Nikishita, and that, which was confirmed to me by a number of people out there. That being beside the point, he said that Marcus had been caught sending suggestive text messages to underage girls. I think one of them, he said, was his cousin.
Wow.
So that is why, the fact that this is coming up again, we saw how Marcus was involved in falsely accusing BJ Nastasio. We've seen how Mike Fassig's son was involved in raping Lacey Jean Williams. And yes, it was not Lacey's fault that happened to her, but that should not mean that now Mulaney Stoneman gets to ride on the coattails of her own foster kid's rape so that she can call herself an advocate of raped women? No. Or missing women? Absolutely not. You are literally a kidnapper. You cannot be looking for people that might be kidnapped. You can't be the thing that you currently are, and you've never, ever apologized or taking any responsibility for. Neither can Chelsea Lyons Kent, who raped a woman with Jordan Sheridan. Neither can Aubrey Peckham, who helped to hide a kidnapping and a rape. None of these people, I'm not saying they should never be able to have a life or shouldn't ever be able to do good things or try to make amends. But the first step to making amends is you have to apologize. You have to take responsibility for what you did, and you have to make amends. You have to apologize. And you can't do that overnight. That's not what happens. That takes years of work. You have to put the time in to show that you really have changed. And then maybe when you're being honest about all of those things before you ask to participate, people will accept you, but not like this. Not like this. And I've seen the effect, and I've talked about it at the top of this hour, on women all across this country as we are literally being shoved through this process of Kavanaugh being put into the Supreme Court justice seat. As we feel as victims that we are literally being ignored and erased one more time in the most horrible public way, like they did to Dr. Blasey Ford. I know that survivors and victims all across this country are screaming in silent rage inside every fiber of their beings, because they are seeing their rapists in their minds. They're hearing rapists being elevated, rapists being protected, rapists being sympathized with, rapists being believed, rapists being put in positions of power and privilege, rapists being protected. But not the victims. Not the victims. Let me show you another example of that in this story of Kathleen Bennett. Here are some of the people that were made into wet plates. I don't know if you've heard this. I have a link that I'll share with everyone that goes along with this program so that you all can go and take a look at all of the many people that were put into wet plates.
Wow.
I'm sure, I shouldn't say I'm sure about anything anymore.
Yep, exactly.
I surmise that the artist had no clue who he was memorializing in his art.
Yeah.
For these exhibits that have been traveling around North Dakota and were most recently in a museum down the street from my house.
Yep.
How did you feel when you walked in there and saw some of the phonies from Standing Rock? Some of the people that were working with these folks to make themselves heroes and famous off of the suffering of the Lakota people.
I was disgusted. I remember walking up to that display, and I anticipated, I said, what is this? Because one of the people who is a member there had invited us to the museum and said there's this wonderful, authentic display upstairs. And when I went up there, I started looking at them. I thought, okay, this is wet plate photography. This is that old style. It used to be a style that was done in the 1800s. And I'm walking around, and it's like, oh, is that Susie? And I started looking. Oh my God, these are the phonies that we've been talking about and that have been part of the Kathleen Bennett case, and they're up there on the walls, and people are walking around looking at them, and they're promoting this indigenous connection and honoring indigenous people. And it's like I see 4, 5, 6 fakers on the display, and these aren't all the wet plates. I mean, this is only a sample of the wet plates that they've been going around and doing. And I thought, wow.
Have you looked through the link?
No, I haven't. I actually haven't.
Oh my God, you're gonna need to sit down. You might have a heart attack if you look at all of them.
Okay.
There are so many phonies in there, and it's just like heart stopping. As a victim, like I said, I was like, why did you do this one? Did you know this was a convicted child rapist? His name is Archie Foolbear. Here he is in wet plate. Did I make you lose your spot, honey bun?
Sorry. I'll find it. There it is.
Here he is, Archie Foolbear. Go look it up. He was convicted of raping his niece after her parents died, and they had to take it. They had to take in the kids because she was an orphan, and he raped her. And this guy's wife knew it was happening and worked at the school, and she hid it while he was one of the head of securities at Standing Rock.
Wow.
This guy right here, who immediately folded when they wanted him to close the camps. Wonder why?
Mm-hmm.
Why was our governor meeting with this rapist to make deals? Why was he meeting with Menape to make deals behind closed doors? There he is too, in the wet plates. Menape Lemaire, Soldier Boy. Gross.
Yep.
I am so upset when I see these people that victimized people. Not 10 years ago, not 40 years ago, like in the case of Kavanaugh. This just happened here in our home, in our backyard. The pain is very fresh for me because we went through hell, personal hell.
Definitely.
And trying to protect Kathleen Bennett and trying to exonerate her and trying to get her mom out of that hospital and trying to get her back home. And it makes me sick that this was done. Here's another person they put into wet plate, if you can believe it. The kidnapper herself, Melanie Janice Stoneman. White lightning woman.
Wow.
I don't know what to think, but I do know how survivors feel. Do you remember when we took Kathleen Bennett when she was out on bail, awaiting her trial in Bismarck? We took her to the museum there.
Yes.
And LaDonna popped on the screen, one of the people that she knew was connected to putting her in jail and letting her rot there without any help. She jumped back about 3 feet like she'd just seen a monster. She was like, she was horrified. I tried to get her to go and watch what LaDonna was talking about. She was so angry. She literally walked around for almost half an hour trying to find somebody that worked at the museum, and she gave him what for? She was like, how could you have this in there? How could you put this in the Hall of Heroes? She just went off.
Yeah.
She lost it. That's how a survivor of one of the people that's been victimized by these horrible people feels when they see. She didn't even see Melanie. She saw LaDonna. Mama LaDonna, one of the women financing and supporting all of these phonies and criminals, like she did when she gave agency to all of the phonies that went to Flint, Michigan. You remember, like Angelo Sison, how he was thanking her. Thank you, LaDonna. And then, of course, what I've come to realize about a lot of these folks that purport themselves to be medics, like Melanie did when she wasn't, like Christina Hollenbeck did when she wasn't. Remember when she was immediately appeared on RT television and telling people she was a medic?
He's a medic.
She's not a medic. You start going, oh, what other lies are they telling about themselves? Not only are they out there committing crimes and they're lying about, they're robbing people because people are giving them money, thinking that they're real Indians, that they're real leaders, that they're real medics, that they're real lawyers, that they're real decent people, in a word, when they're not. Is that when you look a little bit deeper, you find out a lot of what they tell you about their background, about who they are, isn't true. And, for a trusting soul that just takes somebody at face value, and when they tell you, like, oh, I did this, like Christina Hollenbeck put on her resume, all of those things. Remember how long that resume was? She did everything. She's been on TV. She knows this superstar. She knows that one. She's done this. She's known that. Mm-hmm. Well, I found this very funny. One of the witnesses in the Kathleen Bennett case tweeted to one of the rappers that she mentioned, Talib Kweli. Here's the tweet that he sent to him to try to ask. He said in a tweet thread himself, Talib Kweli Green, last week I had the honor of playing the Apollo Theater with Phil Lesh of the Grateful Dead alongside at Eric Asno and RRTFB, the Harlem Gospel Choir, and other great musicians. And then there's a link to Instagram. And Josh Long says, quick question, Talib, related to a case of injustice against two Lakota women at Standing Rock. Did hashtag Christina Hollenbeck ever produce an album with you at Ferguson? Remember, she was credentialing herself as being at Ferguson. She's always at all of the major things in the world, right?
Yeah.
She was at the Arab Spring, according to Wes Clark, when he was talking to his friend, what's the lady that friended you?
Gwendolyn Cates.
Gwendolyn Cates, that gave her a place to stay in New York. Yeah. She said she's been at all of the most important, world events, apparently. Who knows if any of that is true, though, because according to this, he said, Talib Kweli responded, I have no clue who that is. He's like, I don't even know that name. No idea. Never heard of her. Yep. By the way, Talib Kweli didn't just respond to this. He retweeted Josh's question and posted it on his own page with his responses that follow here, so that all of his fans could see that he doesn't know who this lying Christina Hollenbeck is, and he never did no album with her in Ferguson. And Josh posted her resume to his page so that he could see that she had put it on her resume. And this is what he said in response to Talib. Josh says, thanks, I figured. Christina Hollenbeck uses your name in her bio everywhere. She works with at the Nexus Summit, at Lakota Law, at Solve MIT, and hashtag Phyllis Young, hashtag Chase Iron Eyes. She falsely accused a Lakota water protector, Free Kathleen Bennett, at Standing Rock, who spent 6 months in jail needlessly. And so he was able to see what? He didn't just say, I never heard of that woman. He saw her bio, he saw her face, and said, I don't know who that is.
Yep, exactly.
And then if you scroll down further, I think there might be a little bit more. Oh, no, it's in the next one. I'm sorry. I apologize. Talib posts, I've never even heard of Hip Hop Loves Ferguson at Beans. So at Josh Long on Twitter, he says, in response further, let me tell you, that album she put on her bio that she claims I did with her, I never even heard of it. It doesn't exist. It's not a real album. It isn't real. It's made up. And Josh replies, thanks. That's where he, see how he reposted it? He retweeted this on his own page. Yep. So to Christina Hollenbeck, I have to say, you burnt. You burnt. So, but they got their friends they surround themselves with, so I'm sure that they feel like they're safe. Like now she's hanging out with Solve MIT. She's trying to get defraud MIT, and she's hanging out with the Lakota Law Project. The next one here is a tweet that Josh also made talking about this, with regard to the Lakota Law Project. And he says, I asked Donald, can you scroll up further? Let's see. Oh, okay. So there was something from Lakota Law above. And then Josh replied to them and said, I know who you are. I asked how Daniel Sheehan, that's one of the lawyers working at the Lakota Law Project, feels about representing people that knew about Kathleen Bennett being falsely imprisoned and her elder mother being from Pine Ridge kidnapped at Standing Rock. And he posts a link to the YouTube video about the story that we did on this woman who was falsely accused and her mom being taken to a hospital and put into the care of kidnapper Mulaney Stoneman, who nearly killed her and eventually put her in an early grave. And Lakota Law Project responds saying, he's not representing anyone. Our trial concluded. And that's not what Josh asked.
Yeah.
Josh asked, how do you, the lawyer Danny Sheehan, feel about being associated with, in the Lakota Law Project, another so-called attorney, which he ain't, he doesn't have a law degree right now that I know of, Chase Iron Eyes, who knew full well and tried to cover up the fact that Kathleen Bennett was falsely accused by his pal Mulaney and the people he was working with at the Veterans Stand for Standing Rock, including Bill Runningfisher and Christina Hollenbeck, all of whom put this woman in jail falsely. How do you feel about that involvement, Danny Sheehan? And he goes, Chase Iron Eyes isn't representing anyone, and our trial on this case that they were representing him for has concluded. And so he's being whoever is responding is pretending like la 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 la. We do not hear this. We cannot understand what you're saying. And Josh responds, Chase Iron Eyes never went to trial. He took a plea deal with the same people that held Kathleen Bennett in jail for over 6 months on false accusations brought by quote unquote leadership at Standing Rock, including Chase.
Yep.
And he tagged the San Francisco Chronicle, the San Francisco Gate, 4 New KRON 4 News, and others. And the Lakota Law Project said, our case concluded. Chase is not named in those reports. Which ones? The ones that the Bismarck Tribune did?
Yeah.
The ones that were in the police record? Or the ones that we did here on KPPPLP? Because I can assure you, Chase is named numerous times on this show, on this station, for having known and having refused to print an article about the kidnapping. He refused because he was covering for Mulaney, and it became very clear he was working with the people that helped put her in jail, Kathleen Bennett, in the first place. So that is a lie, Lakota Law Project. That is a lie. He says, and again, we do not affiliate with the things you keep tagging us in.
Yeah.
I'm allergic to BS. And I have to say, that is a lie. It's straight out lie. You can run, but you can't hide from the truth. Whether you're the Lakota Law Project, if they even do anything for people, if they're not just another front like the WPLC seems to be, who knows? I have questions about these people, and I think I have every right to have questions about these people. They claim that they're out there doing good things. They pretend that they are. But the most recent thing, the most very disappointing recent thing that we've seen tied to Chase Iron Eyes is his connection to those people that went to Palestine with a person associated with supporting Hamas,
Exactly.
Linda Sarsour.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of questions that we've raised about these folks. Here's what Josh said in reply. I thought it was funny. He says, you say that, but Chase says this. Chase, Phyllis Young, and Christina Hollenbeck at Nexus Summit are currently involved with Solve MIT. How can you then claim to protest profiteering off of fake environmentalism? And he tags a bunch of people again, and he posts a video. The video in which, for the first time, this man, Chase Iron Eyes, finally said Kathleen Bennett's name. I said on the show that I did, which I titled say her name
Mm-hmm.
because everyone started saying her name. And he posted a video saying her name. I think he later removed it and
Yeah.
then reposted a new video without her name in it. But I still have the video, and you can find it along with all of our other shows about the reporting of the Kathleen Bennett case on our website. And I think you even went so far as to make a neat little place where you can find all the shows associated with the Kathleen Bennett case.
Yes,
Is that correct?
definitely. Yep, on kpppfm.com. There's all the backstories that we've done. We did a lot of reporting at Standing Rock, and so you can find all the shows that have their own page, all kind of incrementally, and then also the background Kathleen Bennett case. All the shows we did around Kathleen Bennett, from the very first show to the last show, or not the last show, but during a chunk of about a year and a half, and they're all neatly packed on a page. Just go to Kathleen Bennett and click, and you'll be able to find those shows and stories. A lot of audio, a lot of video. In the earlier days, it was all audio. We weren't doing Facebook Lives. We were just doing audio programs. And so you'll find them all there.
Mm-hmm. And I encourage you to hear what happened in the story and to look at the people that were involved in it, because none of them have been held to account for what they did or even had to be confronted. And they've never had to try to make amends. They've never apologized, and they continue to do things with vulnerable people, to lead things where they shouldn't be leading, to represent themselves, to misrepresent themselves. And that is not consent, folks. I should have the right to decide, based on knowing your true background, whether or not I want to put you in charge of a baby or an elder or as an advocate of anyone. Absolutely have the right to do that. And if you lie, if you dissemble, if you hide yourself, your true intentions, so that you can make money off of the suffering of a current disaster, then you are a disaster vulture, picking away at the carcass of the suffering of other human beings. And you do not deserve to be in that position. So one of those people which we brought to your attention was Aylin Altanuk. Remember, we told you in Let's Talk Turkey the last time that I did a show, after which Wes Clark Jr., a dissembler himself, was finally caught. He and his daddy, with all of these Turkish people connections, including two that appear in WikiLeaks documents associated with the dictatorship of Erdogan, Recep Erdogan in Turkey. And associated also with the Turkish Forum, a Turkish propaganda publication run by both Sedef Buyakataman and Kaya Alep, her dad. Remember that Sedef was left as the CFO on the Veterans Stand for Standing Rock and was Wes's connection. So Aylin, as you may recall, left Standing Rock, went to Flint, hung out with the Nazi guy, Ryan Laurie,
Yeah.
and then they took off and went to Houston. And one of the places that they went, I remember this vividly because Samantha Magdaleno told me that Aylin Altanuk showed up in Houston, not just in the same town, because they were all there to do hurricane relief, which Samantha was also there doing. She was doing hurricane relief work. But she was from there, or she knew people from there. She had family in that town. So that seemed a lot more plausible to me that she had just taken up and gone down there. Unlike Aylin Altanuk, like, this kid looks wet behind the ears. What kind of disaster relief training or whatever does this person even have? In the video clip I'm about to show you, and I'm not going to show you the whole thing. You don't have to let the whole thing play. It's just so that I can show you the video that shows her at one of the places, I believe, one of the places where Samantha had also visited. And if it's not, I'm sure Samantha probably still has and or can correct the record on whether or not it is true that Aylin Altanuk ended up going to homes of people that Samantha and Brennan had just visited. So Samantha told me that she and Brennan went to a house, went to several places, of course, to give people food and to give people donations and help folks. And Aylin then followed up behind Sam and visited those same people.
Wow.
And I couldn't find the video in which she's actually having a conversation with one of those folks in, but I did find this one of Aylin in Houston. So here it is, little clip.
That's my industrial water. Okay, so let me put it up here so you can actually take a look at it.
Okay. Hey guys, I'm here in Houston. I just dropped a crap ton of donations to this wonderful young lady named Rosie Soto, and man, I'm beat. She's beat. Everyone's beat, but I want y'all to see what she's doing because it's really fucking awesome, and I get really inspired by grassroots activists every time I go out. Hold up, I'm just gonna show y'all what she just got done working on, and it smells amazing, and I can eat it because it does not have dairy in it. Oh my god.
Yeah, so let me tell you a little bit about it. So we got a donation in of some gluten-free hoagie rolls, and they just been kind of sitting there, and I wasn't too sure what I was going to do with them.
Okay,
But
that's enough.
That's enough of that.
That's enough of that. The rest of the video is mostly about food anyway. Then I want you to see what else she is connected to. It's called the Everyday Hero Project. And she says she's part of it. Says right there, she's wearing the same bandana in the same kitchen of the video you just saw. Mm-hmm. And it says, and continuing on with Aylin Altanuk and her story where we last left her in Houston. Remember? Mm-hmm. So here she was in Houston, and it says, everyday hero and blessed friend, as she continues to spread aloha all over the hearts of the people, water protector, defender of the Aina. And it says Aylin Axiali. Remember she changed her name on Facebook at some point? It says interview with grassroots activist, water protector, and master chef Rosie Soto. Can you support the efforts? Please go fund me. Please go fund me. Next, I have a post by the Woke AF tour. You know who used that a lot? Why, it was none other than Ed Higgins. Yeah. Here is his Activate Now Woke AF tour for the hurricane. And as you can see, he is taking in donations, hoping for a goal of $10,000.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, this guy has just constantly got his hands out. What does it say his address is there? Fort Yates, North Dakota, my ass.
Yeah.
What a liar.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, of course, this guy is just bouncing off the walls all around the country. If you could scroll down, you can read more about what they're doing. It says, it's been a long time since my last update, but here we go. I spent some time healing after being on the road, blah, blah, da, da. Solidarity, yada, yada, yada. It says, now we just spent the day gutting a badly trashed house from the floor. 9 feet of water has decimated their homes. I don't think this guy did a moment of cleanup anywhere.
Yeah.
Keep scrolling down further. You can see all the different donations they're running on the side of people donating $20 here, $20 there. Mm-hmm. At the time of this screen capture, you could see there was up to $7,000.
Yep.
And yeah, that's about it. Okay. Now, next one here, you'll see that, by the way, that Everyday Hero Project is part of Activate Now, and I'll show you that Ed Higgins is connected to that here in a minute. And you may also recall who else at the time was connected to those hurricane disaster relief effort BS they were doing. Mona Cedillo, who then later, shortly after this, left Ed and said that she too, very recently during the time of the Lacey Williams trial, she too condemned Ed for his harassment of her and his assaults and his abuse of her, of Mona Cedillo, who was working for Activate Now. She was one of the people that was trashing the Kathleen Bennett story and her credibility.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, she did this and never apologized for it. Then this man went on to harass and assault her and probably a lot of other women. And she didn't come out and say anything about it right away. But when the Lacey thing happened, she too came out and confronted that and said, this guy is terrible. But at this time, she was hanging out with these guys. And it says, with Ed Higgins, Louis Monsiváis, another man that has been alleged to have taken advantage of women, financially and otherwise. And Terrence Daniels, this guy, he gave agency to the likes of Ed. He gave agency to the likes of Jordan Sheridan and Chelsea Lyons and many others. And yet I've yet to hear him denounce these folks. And it's very troubling because they're not being held accountable. They should be held accountable. And it says here, also, Miko Hayes. Well, if you'll recall, in one of the videos that I showed you last year, I think, there was drunk Miko Hayes talking to drunk Ed Higgins doing a live stream as he is trying to harass via internet this very woman because she had dropped him like a hot potato and didn't want nothing more to do with him.
Yeah.
And here she's raising money for herself.
Yep.
To
One
support
last
independent
meal.
media.
Yep.
Now the next one here I have is the first video here. That did not work.
Islands National Guard has been ordered into active military service.
For this
Pick up my phone like this.
hurricane?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay, good. They're
Territorial.
The meeting of the minds.
Good. So
Yeah.
they're not starting the draft to send us
Right.
out to Iraq again?
No, not yet.
I don't know what I'll do.
Oh, yeah.
Are you going
That's Miko
live?
Hayes. Yep, that's Miko Hayes behind me. I'm stalking him right now. He doesn't even know it. Hey, Roy. I'm just doing a little live stream. We're just getting some food before we head out onto the road.
Yep.
We've had a call out to head to Florida. They're going to get hit really hard, and so we have been asked to head down there to help prepare, to help them search and rescue. So everyone is packing everything up. Hey, Roy. Hey, Valerie. Thanks for watching. We are getting loaded up with some good carbs.
1 year ago today.
And we're going to be on the road probably for the next, how many hours is it going to take to get there?
14.5.
14.5.
We still have to do a little bit of vehicle maintenance on the way. It turns out we've got our truck so heavy with supplies at the moment that we can't find a lift in the city to lift the whole thing up. So we have to go...
To help with the tire.
Yeah, so we have to go outside on the way there and get a stop at a truck stop, and they'll be able to lift it up and change our oil and top us all up. But our poor vehicles have taken kind of a beating in the last couple of weeks. And we want to make sure we're all sorted to help people by the time we get there. So besides that, that's our only stop, 14 hours.
Non-stop.
And our destination, I have friends and some comrades who reached out to me. I've been hitting the internets trying to find out a good location, good area, how we can be more successful. And I've got a friend that reached out to me last night and again this morning. So we're going to head to Clearwater, Florida. Some, we know 2 right now are going in. I am one. Terrence is the other. We are going to go into Clearwater, Florida. We're going to go post up at their address, which is Clearwater, Florida. And they have a 4-wheel drive truck for us. They have some supplies for us. They got a good place for us to hang through the storm. But we're going to be as cautious as we can. We're going to be as productive as we can. We'll be as careful as we can. But that's kind of our destination where we're heading right now for this one.
And like I had said in our live stream earlier today, like we know we know what's going to happen. We know what's going to be needed here. This isn't the first hurricane that we've been through. This isn't our first hurricane rescue and all of that, but it's best to plan for what we expect and what we know is going to be happening there. So if you guys do want to start building up supplies and doing the organizing and making connection with people, it's real important at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, you think like, oh wow, these guys are totally legit.
Yeah.
But then you see Ed in a live stream later. Harassing Mona and while driving drunk, committing a DUI, while talking to Miko, who's also just super drunk. And then later on, you see Miko doing a live stream of himself being belligerent with cops in his hometown and getting arrested. And you just keep asking yourself, why would you put people like this at the front and center as leaders? Can you imagine, Duke, being in a disaster situation like a hurricane, like what happened in Houston, like what happened in Florida, like what happened in Puerto Rico, and having a group of people that shows up with food or that shows up with some power supply or shows up with something that you desperately need, and then they rob you.
Yeah.
They assault you.
Yeah.
On top of what you're already going through. That's what happens to you. Can you imagine? I mean, how blindsiding that is?
Yeah, it's really tough because then you're going to end up, who can you trust? And then you're already in a very vulnerable position, and you got people coming in, and now you have to size up who's there to jack you, who's there to steal from you when people are saying they're coming to help you. And those people are professing to the world that they're this big rescue team. They need all this money to do all this work. Please give to them because they're the good guys, It's disgusting.
It's just as disgusting as putting all of those people in places of advocacy or power like Mulaney Stoneman and Christina Hollenbeck.
Yeah.
That is a nightmare waiting to happen. Just ask Kathleen Bennett. Can't ask her mom anymore because she's passed. But, I mean, that is exactly what these people inspire in me. When I look at that, I'm like, how could you put all of these criminals? It almost seems like it's on purpose. Like, are any of them good people? Are any of them at all?
Not that I've seen.
I haven't seen so far. I mean, it's turning out to be pretty, across the board. And you'll recall that they had a Facebook page that they made, that Women Against Louis Monsivice and Ed Higgins.
Yeah.
Well, one of the main people that posted inside of that, they invited me to be in that group, and I was like, I've never posted anything or really even commented on anything, but I've noticed, interestingly, how that page went from kind of being a dragnet where Anthony Gazzotti, Louis Monsivice, and Ed Higgins, the people that probably created the group, themselves could see what all claims and complaints were there out there.
I see.
And then, of course, have the ability to refute them or attack the women preemptively or silence people so that they could go on conning more women and more people. And one of those people that posted in there a lot more recently is Anthony Gazzotti. Remember that name? And then another thing I noticed is that it went from being a place where women that were victims of either of these two men were supposed to be posting about what happened to them, and other women could come there and see and share their stories. Which I never thought was a very good idea because of it felt like a dragnet for Ed, and it was. So that Anthony Gazzotti is his friend, and that the people that were in that room were really there to try to corral women victims and attack them. And then it took this strange turn where they started posting about Puerto Rico all the time and the exploits of all of the phonies surrounding Ed. And I was like, oh, so you're not even going to hide it anymore at this point. You're just going to post stuff about Ed's friends and all their crime right in the page where they're supposed to be protecting women. That's why you know that these frauds and phonies need to be called out, because they are so dangerous to the public. And you know what? I'm Cindy Gomez-Schempp of Mexican Crossing Lines, so you don't have to be. So here is the second video of these folks in Florida, I think.
3. Hello, everyone. Ed Higgins, Chief Correspondent for Activate Now News. I have a special guest in the studio today. He's actually one of our correspondents. He's an artist. He has evergladesgallery.com. You need to check that out when you get a chance. It is John Bob Carlos. How are you doing today, sir?
All right. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, it's good to see you, too. We met in the Everglades, and John Bob showed me his passion for the Everglades, and you are staying down there, is that correct?
Absolutely. We're
right
staying
on. Okay, so you're going to ride out the storm down there, and the Everglades is southern of Florida, South Florida. We're hearing a lot about Hurricane Irma. What do you think?
I was here for Andrew, so this is a lot larger. So this makes Andrew look like a baby. So this is very serious. Anybody that's out there or here should take all the precautions they need to take. I haven't seen anything like this before. So if you're not scared, it's time to get scared. If you're not praying, this is time to start praying, because the impact of this is going to be very interesting. And this is the first time in history, like you said, that we're seeing this type of behavior in our weather. We've been seeing strange weather throughout the whole year. So we saw the late rains come in, as you saw, and we've been seeing bizarre things and bizarre weather, like either dryness when it's not supposed to be dry, a lot of rain when we're not used to seeing it. So this is the impact, I guess, is what we're seeing. So, but I was here for Andrew, and a lot of people didn't really pay attention to it and didn't prepare, and the destruction of it was, I mean, amazing to see in person.
I don't know exactly what church or religion this guy belongs to, but I believe he's some kind of religious leader.
Okay.
John Bob, that's why I think he was, saying something about praying there. That is associated with the Everyday Hero Project thing also. So it's important for you to note that. You'll see more about John Bob in the future, which is why I let you see a little bit of John Bob today. But remember, that was all in Houston, and then Everyday Hero goes to Florida. Here they are in Florida. Did we get John Bob in Houston there?
Nope.
Let me show that. It says right here. Oh wait, no, that's Hurricane Irma. Interview with Everglades artist at evergladesgallery.com activist John Bob Carlos. John Bob. He's also an artist. But I think John Bob Carlos is definitely associated with the Everyday Hero.
Yes.
And then they go to Florida. Here's more about Everyday Hero Project. It says, who wants to go on a free trip to South Florida?
They're in the middle of a hurricane, yes.
Hey, everybody. Operation Float, Women's March Florida, Chapter Pinellas, Everyday Hero Project, and the Tampa Bay Watch are hosting a volunteer weekend to help those impacted by Hurricane Irma. This is a free sponsored trip for volunteers to help those still impacted by Irma in South Florida. Please like and share so that we can fill up a bus.
Yeah.
How to apply for the trip? These can be short sentences. Please email your name, group you're affiliated with, why you want to go, join Activate Tour, and send to operationfloatflorida@gmail.com by Friday, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're offering free trips to Florida from where they are. I assume they were in Houston when they were doing that. And here they are in Florida, Texas. the next one. Everyday Hero is talking about thanks for the local business owner. Drew and Angie in the St. Peter Pedal Pub sponsored a cleanup with Everyday Hero called Pick Up the Pete. Ride around down on the pedal pub and listen to some awesome jams while immersing yourself in St. Pete culture. Jump off at a few hero stops and clean up the city with your Planet family. Activate your energy and join us this epic ride. Pedal Pub is waived for community service, courtesy of the Pedal Pub. So one of the things that I think is really important for you to note in what I'm showing you is that you're being an expert at anything related to disaster relief, which is what people in an emergency need and want, not just some rando looking for a free vacation that also happens to be a pedo, also happens to, or a chomo, or also happens to be a rapist, or also happens to be a crook or a thief, like almost every single one of the folks that these Activate Now people seem to hang out with. But you should also note that they like to have fun while they pretend to do the rescuing and disaster work. What I have found so far is that a lot of this is pretend activism, and they love to make money while they're doing it. It's not just, disaster capitalism. It's disaster investing. As Christina would say, impact investment. As Marianne Thompson Frank would say, it's impact investing. And it's impacting the hell out of devastated areas all across the globe where a hurricane or some other natural disaster has hit. Folks need to know and spread the word so that these disaster vultures don't strike near you and catch you off guard. That is the worst possible scenario I can imagine. A poor, vulnerable person just after a hurricane, waiting for water, waiting for food and power, waiting for some kind of help. And here comes a bus load of rapists and philanderers, womanizers, pedos, thieves, kidnappers, and the like.
Yep.
And I mean, if that's all you have in your, group of people that you're working with, Wes Clark, Seven, Maggie, I mean, you need to find some better people. You definitely don't need to be putting those kinds of folks at the forefront of any kind of disaster relief efforts. And as I've told you, many of these people that I have mentioned have committed serious violent crimes, kidnapping, rape, etc., and have been convicted. While other people, like Kathleen Bennett, who was falsely imprisoned for 6 months, while her mother was dying, was completely exonerated and finally reunited with her family. So it is very important for us to continue to show you why these people's not only organizations are questionable because of who they're doing their work with, but also what is it that they're really doing again? What kind of disaster relief involves drinking and biking at the same time while you sometimes pick up trash and call it community service with your Planet family?
Exactly.
What in the hell? That sounds like some, new age crystal hippie, weird relatives and go in a good way kind of crap. I don't understand why, it has to be fun. Have you never done a serious hard day's work in your life? Not everything has to be fun. When you're going to a disaster, is not time to go rock climbing and making, that's not the time to do that. You're supposed to be going there to help people. And these people don't know how to do that work, Duke. That's what's so striking about this. And I'm going to prove to you from one of the people whose homes they went to stay in that they didn't help anybody in all of this stuff that they did in Houston and later in Florida. Even, by their own accounts of what they were doing. Because when they got to Houston, they didn't even stay a full day, like a 24-hour period. I think they came in and they were out right away and off to Florida, off to the next disaster that they needed to collect on.
Yeah.
So, Hero floats Florida and Texas. There's more too, please. Here's some more of the stuff that they posted. I'm just getting you familiar with them. It says, thank you, everyone. Through our networks, we've helped to secure this new development for a truck, a semi-truck. That's the new development for Operation Float. So they've got a semi-truck donated to them, and it's for something called Operation Float, which is working with the Everyday Hero Project, which is really all umbrellaed under the now defunct fake platform for media called Activate Now. Okay? Mm-hmm. So all of this is under Ed Higgins, and I'm going to tell you that the Operation, whatever the heck it is called, Float, and the Everyday Hero Project, and some of the other organizations I'm going to show you here in a minute, are not 501c3s in and of themselves. They're just organization XYZ.
Yeah.
That's associated with that organization, XYZ over there. And several of them are all under one person. So let me get to that here. Number 3 shows another one of their posts. I mean, I'm not saying that you shouldn't teach the kids to start cleaning up at an early age, but how much work do you really think that they're doing? I just have to ask. Yeah. A lot of these pictures look posed, like they're just posing with buckets and brooms and things and bags full of trash. And somehow that's supposed to be the new activism. If you're picking up a bag of trash, you can put up your GoFundMe because you're saving the planet. And I mean, I beg to differ. I'm sorry. Everyone should do their part for the environment, but you don't have to have your hand out asking for money all the damn time for doing something for the planet that you also need to live on.
Yeah.
And, especially knowing that these deep pockets, Nexus, are billionaires, that Wes and his daddy are millionaires, that those people that in Hollywood that got involved in this and helped support those who committed these crimes have millions of dollars, millions of followers, and could do so much with that. But they want you, the American public, to donate to all these phonies and frauds instead, who they've been supporting and elevating instead of them funding them. I'm sure they funded some of it, but they should be funding all of this nonsense. So the American people, like you, are not being taken for a ride and giving money to people that are committing crimes against other folks. They're a danger. Here's another one in which they're collecting goods in collaboration with Operation Float again. They're sending them in a semi-truck to supply Pinellas Technical College, leaving on Houston, Texas. Friday to Houston, Texas. So here's where they're going to Houston. They have residents there that they are working with in Houston, as well as space to work out of once they arrive. Everyday Hero Project is an official drop-off point, and we're also searching for people and organizations who would like to join us in an effort to provide much-needed relief.
Wow.
The question that I have, and I mean, I've seen a lot of this. They did it in Flint, so there's a pattern. You remember, they showed up with pallets of water, right? And then they delivered pallets of water to certain locations. We never really saw who ended up with the water. Yeah. We never really saw if they ever did anything beyond giving water to people. I feel like these things are photo opportunities, like when the president was throwing paper towels at people in Puerto Rico. Look, I'm helping. Or when he went to the Carolinas and was asking about a boat and handing out food, he doesn't have a philanthropic bone, or a real human body to throw it out of. Yeah. But he has to pretend this role of a concerned leader and chief of this nation. So he does these things that give the press an opportunity to say, look, the guy is not just a meat suit and bones. He's a real human. But these folks here have done similar things with, look, a picture of a truck. How do I know where you took that? Even if that's even your truck, if it's real, if you really did, drive to where you said, if you really gave the donations to the people that needed them or to your friends, to their own friends. I don't know. I will continue to make this case later on, and maybe you will understand why I'm asking these questions. So, here's number 5. There's another cleanup effort. It seems like a lot of it surrounds drinking, having a good time, especially drinking while you're picking up trash. And this is for Texas. Also, please send your donations to them at Operation Floats. This is what they need: blankets, pillows, diapers, and money. Send them a donation. Here's another one. Number 6 shows them carrying buckets again. I would like to take a look inside one of those trash bags or one of those buckets and see what's in there. Do you see how many bags of trash they have in front of them? I mean, in that other picture you did before this one, I mean, they look really fluffy. Maybe they're really full of trash. Who knows? I can't honestly tell you what the hell is in there. I can't know for sure what these people are doing or if they're doing what they claim to be doing, because Mulaney Stoneman was collecting thousands and thousands of dollars and did collect over $17,000 to buy an SUV that she was going to use to evacuate people. And instead of doing that, she was kidnapping Mary Trujillo from her family. And she was falsely imprisoning an innocent woman. When someone is capable of doing that and lying about it and callously sitting on the guardianship of Mary Trujillo as she is dying in a hospital and wishing her death to come soon, as she told me, she's going to die any day. She doesn't have much time because you didn't want that woman in the first place. You just want to collect checks and kill this woman. What wouldn't that person be capable of? The callousness to do that to a defenseless elderly person with dementia that cannot defend themselves, that can never hold you accountable for what you did to them, and that will never be able to speak to what you did, like a baby. You know, those kinds of people need to be protected from, these are predators, from predators, people that predate on those weaker than them, the likes of Mulaney Stoneman, Bill Renning-Fisher, and some of the others that I've mentioned here on the show. And we have a responsibility to hold each other accountable and call this nonsense out when and where we see it. And I, for one, am not going to stop. The next one here shows you there's more buckets,
those buckets
more
are
cleaning tools. And don't you think at one time you would see a bucket that's got stuff overflowing at the top of the bucket?
Yeah, or
You
people with
never
dirty
see
clothes
that.
maybe too, you know.
Yeah. I'm just asking questions. That's all. That's all I'm saying. And here's another one from the Hero Florida cleanup crew. Here's some more pictures of the cleanup. I mean, obviously, there's more bags with trash. You know, when I saw that Mona departed the whole Activate Now crew, I watched her social media for a while, wondering if she was going to talk about what happened. Because, like many people that already knew about the predatory tactics of Ed Higgins, people were and people that Ed Higgins was connected to, like Jordan Sheridan, the rapist, and Chelsea Lyons, the rapist, etc., etc. And his ex-wife, the pedo. It seemed that there might have been some kind of harassment or assault that took place to Mona. She was kind of silent on the whole thing. Mona Cedillo was one of the Activate Now crew that we just saw in one of the videos. So his co-worker, so-called media person, right? In this defunct organization that no longer existed at the time.
Yeah.
So, all of a sudden, I see Mona walking around, hiking out in the woods, and doing this impassioned video about cleaning up the planet. And she just got up to that day and decided to grab a bag and go out and start cleaning up the planet, picking up the trash. And she picked up this whole bag and she goes, "Look at all the trash I found." And I'm like, has Mona lost her damn mind? What's going on? I mean, I know probably Ed could make you go off the rails, but I couldn't figure out what all this stuff about. And she wasn't the only one. Interestingly, not long after that, I even have a show I titled "Take Out the Trash," and I was going to use the song "Yakety Yak, Don't Talk Back," and I started that show where I was going to show you all of the people picking up the trash, because there was so many of these people that just all of a sudden, just like that moment when I saw all Standing Rock people across the country going, "Let's go to a rally and punch a Nazi." I was like, what the hell is this about?
Yeah.
What is this new messaging? Are all the people in this country are we so lame? Are we so sheepled that, you go to Standing Rock and you watch a bunch of people in regalia speak to you in broken Spanish or broken English and tell you how much they care about the water and the earth, and you forevermore will follow them anywhere and everywhere, no matter what they're doing, no matter how questionable, how ridiculous, how dangerous, how nonsensical it is. I mean, you should ask yourselves that. And what's more is that, I mean, if you've been watching or listening to our programming here at 88.1 FM KPPPLP, where we're adding local color to your airwaves, then you definitely have heard some very concerning information, facts backed up with evidence that should concern you, that should frighten you, that should make you rescind your support of these phonies, these frauds, these criminals, these rapists and pedophiles that are acting as if they are entitled to be heroically followed leaders of movements and such, because yes, I might have been a Nazi, but I'm currently pretending not to be one now. Don't talk about my past Nazi life. Or yes, I'm a registered sex offender and former pedo, but not today. I'm not, and I have every right to protect the water. Also, I'm going to pretend Indian while I'm doing it. And so much more is behind this type of narcissistic, sick, twisted narcissistic behavior. You have no right that entitles you to clear your reputation, A, without apologizing and trying to make amends, and B, while ignoring your original offense. None. No entitlement for you, for any of you. And I'm going to be talking about more of these folks as I go along and reporting to you what this is, very suspicious disaster vulture behavior that I've noticed in these folks. Here is the Hero, Florida cleanup stuff. This is number 2. You can see there they are having a good time, riding around the downtown on the pedal pub and listening to some awesome jams. And they're getting to the culture, cleaning up the city with Planet Family, blah, blah, blah. Next, we have more buckets and, comfy, casual wear. And I mean, yeah, I just, just because you got a bunch of buckets that say you slapped some stickers on there and you're raising money doesn't mean you're actually doing the work. And I think we need to ask for receipts on whether or not these folks really are. Here's another one. This is connected to Operation Floats Florida. And it says they're raising money on a GoFundMe for Operation Floats Florida from the Everyday Hero Project. $3,705 up to $5,000.
Yeah.
This Everyday Hero Project, if you scroll down further, you'll be able to see there that there are a number of people that they list here. It says they started a group assisting the community of Orlando people after the Pulse Night shooting with just 5 people. And they named C.C. Danielson, Jess Smith, Mike Ferrari, Jen Volpe, and Michael DaCosta. And then again in the beginning of September, a Hurricane Harvey Relief Coalition and joined forces with Awakening Wellness, Love Life International Ministries, and Everyday Hero Project. Sent a truck and trailer and supplies to Houston. So this gives you a little bit more of the background of some of the folks involved. Now we've got some churchy stuff in here. Disbursement leadership team is comprised of the Coalition of Immokalee Workers, Miami United Universalist Congregation of Greater Naples, the Women's March Florida, LP Collective, Statewide Awakening Wellness, and Everyday Hero Project. Hawaii, Haiti. It says right behind Everyday Hero Project. That's important. Do I know if all of these other organizations are in the know as they also try to rip off people? Don't know, can't tell you. But Everyday Hero Project is the one I'm focusing on now, and all of those things associated with it, and Activate Now and Ed Higgins. That's what I'm focused on, because that I know stinks to high heaven.
Yeah.
So here is Catalina. Who is Catalina? She's part of the Operation Float thing. It says the current super stoked to announce that I, Catalina Farrington, am now an official correspondent for Activate Now.
Oh, boy.
She announced this on October 1st, 2017. She says, which currently has 36 journalists nationwide and 3 in Florida.
Yeah.
No, they don't. They're a defunct organization that has been involved in a number of very serious crimes, and which grabs apparently anyone they can and associates themselves with those people.
Yeah.
And these people have no clue. And people like Francis Fisher and Maggie Day and Simon McDonald and Wes and all of those people gave Ed agency to do that, and also thereby to rape women, and also thereby to rob people, and also thereby to hurt communities, because they're the ones that said, hey, here's my friend Ed who's come to help you at Standing Rock, later in other places, and continuing even until this day. And so look at there that she mentions there that this is a new source, Activate Now, meaning Activate Now, what she's going to be working with.
Yeah.
That covers politics, social issues, and underreported events around the world with their mission statement, Inform, Educate, Mobilize. Activate Now has been covering the Operation Float mission since we started doing events 3 weeks ago. Big thanks to Lisette Morales and John Bob Carlos.
Oh, yeah.
Remember the John Bob Carlos? Our other 2 Florida correspondents. So John Bob Carlos is with Activate Now.
Yep.
And Lisette Morales is with Activate Now, who brought light to what we are doing to provide relief for hurricane victims. Thank you to Ed Higgins for your faith in my desire to bring hope to the world by helping me feature humanity's everyday heroes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Activate. And then here is her press pass. Here's Catalina's press pass for Activate Now, so you can see for sure. She thanks Ed. She's working with him. And who is this Catalina Farrington, you may be wondering? Well, here is one of the Florida camps they made that was supposed to be standing in solidarity with Standing Rock.
Oh.
This was posted October 13, 2017, long after the Standing Rock camps were closed. They were closed in February of 2017. And so notice the association, because it's important that they want to make sure to link Standing Rock to the Everyday Hero Project, to all of the work that they did. This is probably how Maggie and Wes and all of these people who masterminded this scam thought it up. First we'll go and may have all of our B-list actors, former rapists, pedos, etc., or current rapists, pedos, etc., ex-criminals, 3%ers, and men's rights activists like Benji Winderweedle, and, Burning Man, New Age, hippies, and we'll pretend Indian, the white ones, and then we'll just send them around the country after that and say, they're all from Standing Rock hero
Yeah, exactly.
times. So here you've got The Everyday Hero Project. What does it say on?
Join us in our replenishment weekend on the Activate Tour. We have had 3 weekends of straight service with Operation Float. To our global community, we'll be doing 1 week in a month for the duration of the Operation Float effort, possibly forever. Ha ha ha. Since February, Everyday Hero Project has hosted 3 of these retreats. Activation Camp Weekend at Rainbow River and Dunallen for the Sabal trial effort. Activate Camping Weekend at Trail Lakes Campground for the Everglades Sister Standing Rock Camp.
The Everglades
Sister Standing Rock Camp. There we go.
Then important. I don't care about the rest of it. That's
right.
the only thing that matters. Really
Yeah,
to
I was
me.
like, where's the
but
Standing
look
Rock?
It says down there that says, we also virtually joining us, Holy Ruin, for our water blessing on Sunday. See how they're talking like the Standing Rock's BS? As well as listening to a live broadcast of Auntie Betty Osceola of Walk for Mother Earth. I'm just like puke.
Yeah.
Next we have some of the people that were at this sister camp. Where are all the Native women that were at the sister camp from Florida? Can you blow that up so I can look at those Native women at the bottom? Let's look at them. One of them has a shawl. Oh, look, right in front, it's Aylin Altanuk.
Yeah.
I don't know how many of those women are really Native. Only 3 of them look legit like they might actually be possibly Native. They're definitely brown women. The rest of those ladies look super white.
Yep.
And Aylin for sure is Turkish. And probably first generation. So, no. And then what does it say at the top, at the tippy top? It says, an activated group of individuals. We had the pleasure of coming together to help the planet and community at the United Indigenous Nations Camp. This is the United Indigenous Nations pictured below?
Yeah.
Did it look like a bunch of natives from different places in this country?
No.
No. That's a joke. Next, I want you to see the Miko post by Louis Monsivice, another one of the people that he was with. Miko Hayes of the Daily Hayes, who was also very friendly with Fasig in that group, and Marcus, and, reporting on the good work of the vets, working with Dee Dee Banerjee, who was also very supportive of all of those rapey men who went on to commit rapes and assaults and thefts, etc. To more and more and more women, when many of these people, knew about it or were friends with the perpetrators, So next after Miko, we've got another video for you, and it shows them too.
Good morning, everybody. We are in Pensacola, Florida. Pensacola. It's not called Pepsi-Cola. I'm trying to learn how to say it. Yes, it seems easy to other people, but it's kind of tricky to me. I have problems with my valves. Not my valves like in my engine or my heart. Your valves. Or that. That's Miko. He just went to his 3rd Waffle House in his 3rd state. How do you feel about that?
Not good.
You shouldn't, man.
It's like part of my soul.
I don't know, man. That's I don't know, man. What's that comedian that says you must be what if you go to 3 Waffle House in 3 different states?
You might be a redneck, fucking Jeff Foxworthy.
I didn't say that, he did. So, good morning, everybody. We're in Pensacola, Florida. We made it to Florida. We're going to Clearwater.
Yeah, I needed you to stop that. I'm sorry, folks. I can't stand listening to those people. But also, did you notice how non-professional and non-serious they are? I mean, it's okay to have a few laughs. We have them here at 88.1 FM all the time. Yeah. But we're not taking away, we're not drawing away from the serious nature of what we're talking about in so doing. We're not disrespecting our work in so doing. And also, I believe that it just shows the the total lack of skill that they have for these things that they are doing with very vulnerable situations and vulnerable people. And as I have said, many of these folks have been involved in criminal activity. So I think that the people that are supporting them, the poor people that are giving them agency, money, whether you're trying to rebrand them or give them a new lease on life, I don't care what it is. You should be held responsible for the crimes they commit as well. Because, I mean, in the case of Mary Trujillo, she was put in an early grave and nobody had to account for that. Kathleen Bennett lost 6 months of her life in a jail and nobody had to account for that. Nobody was even lost their job, much less went to jail for what they did, which was not including the kidnapping and the false imprisonment of Kathleen Bennett, the lies to the police, the cover-up afterwards, all of it. And also the threats that we have received at this station for finding it out, for knowing it, for having the audacity to report on it. Next, I want to show you the one from Florida. Now, this is the post about a video I'm going to show you a little clip from where Anthony Gazzotti is. And guess who else is there? Why, none other than Angelo Sison. He was also at the Flint Flop House with rapist Chelsea Lyons and rapist Jordan Sheridan and rapist Ed Higgins. And, you know, the list of rapists goes on. So I have a lot of concerns about people like Gazzotti who dragnet victims in a Facebook room who are friends with rapists like Ed Higgins and others, and who are going to areas where people have just been through a horrible disaster that's left them without a home or clothes or food. These are not the adequate people to be doing that kind of work, in my humble estimation. Here's the fourth video. Let's listen.
Third video.
Sorry. Lost count there.
Perfect. Yeah, good. So we got a good group of people here. Showed up last night. We'll wait for this live feed to kind of drop some. But kind of an update here in Clearwater, Florida. Recognize this guy? Recognize this guy?
How's it going? Oh, long drive, but worth it.
Yeah, so Anthony and the team got in last night at Clearwater, and they got a great place to sleep. They're with us right now, resting. Everybody's here in the yard. A lot of good people. Who'd you come with? Tell us a little bit who you came with, Anthony.
I got baby Ninja Zora.
Yeah.
She's like the motivation behind it all. We got my young gun over here.
Awesome.
Yeah, man, he's completely down with it. I mean, he's a spare driver. He's on point. Man, very knowledgeable, spiritual, beautiful people all around us.
Yeah. And you got one more inside. We got a brother inside.
Yeah, we got the wolf puppy in there taking a nap.
Mr. Angelo's here also. And then we have the beautiful Terrence Daniels is also
Terrence
here.
over here.
Terrence is over there. He's holding it down.
Holding the trucks, guys.
So they got a good group of people you got in last night. How'd you sleep? Everybody rest well? Everybody just hits the running?
Finally got some really good sleep.
Okay.
Everybody's rested and ready to go. We got plenty of supplies.
Okay. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about what are you going to do with the supplies?
Yeah, very good people.
What are they going to do with all those supplies?
Yeah,
well, you know.
Use them up.
Well, you know, in Puerto Rico, where they end up going after this, they actually posted a video of how they brought Boondocks canine unit out to Puerto Rico to be the security for them and their supplies, because locals were upset that they weren't sharing the supplies.
Oh, boy.
And they made a video about it. Okay? And let me just tell you that the Boondock Saints is also one of Activate Now's groups that is connected to Catalina Farrington. And Catalina Farrington, that Activate Now correspondent that I just showed you a press pass for, that new correspondent that they acquired in Florida or Houston or both, she's the only one that is actually umbrellaed under a 501c3. She, Catalina Farrington, not Ed Higgins, not any of these other people that you've seen or heard of. Only her and Jonathan Fritzler. Who's that? Hold on to your hats.
Yeah.
I'll get there. So, Catalina, what was the next one, honey?
Fourth video.
Oh, yes. I just wanted to show you all the people that are together in this. Can you go back to the the one before the third video? Gazzotti? Yeah. Can you see who's tagged in that? It says there at the bottom, Anthony Gazzotti, Zora Kostic, Terrence Daniel, and Angelo Wolf, which used to be Angelo Sison before he too changed his name after he was at the Flint Flop House and kicked out for squatting and leaving over $2,000 in unpaid rent. Notice the pattern of pretend Indians, because he changed his name to Wolf so he could sound like he was Indian. He's not. He's Filipino. And he shouldn't be representing the Dakotas Indians at any rate. Or the people that were at Standing Rock fighting against the pipeline. Yes, an ally. A leader of indigenous movements, he should not be. And also, by the way, look what this pretend Indian did in Flint, in a place that has been struck by disaster for years where people don't have water or resources. He and the Flint Flophouse people went and took resources from the entire community for themselves in the place of real people of color suffering and in need in that community. You see the pattern? Over and over and over and over again. But boy, was they having fun out at Flint. That's a common thread.
Yeah.
They all want to do their disaster relief efforts while they're,
Whooping it up,
having a good time, being silly, making themselves into Tiger Swan outfits, or getting high on meth, or getting drunk and driving and harassing women online. It's got to be fun. You got to keep it fun. And that's their idea of fun. So God help you if they're coming to your disaster. These disaster vultures will literally pick your carcass clean. Your entire community is in danger. And this next video is another group of the phonies out there. Here you go.
Oh good, I got a live feed going on. Hello everybody, this is the drone portion of our show. I guess is what we'll call this. And I'm here with a young man that I've been traveling with. He's got his new drone. We want to kind of introduce him. We want to give him props because he's fantastic at what he's doing. He's just not a drone pilot, but he's a water protector, earth protector. He was side by side with all of the family at Standing Rock with this here. He's got his brand new Maverick Pro, and let's show a little bit. Let's go ahead and introduce yourself. Let us all know, the people that are out there that don't know who you are.
Well, I'm Terrence Daniels. I run an organization called Support the Revolution. I'm a technology activist, so we try to use technology to give the people an upper hand. So if we make apps, we do vertical farming, we use drones to expose corruption and pollution, police brutality like we did in Standing Rock, events like we're doing here. But the point really is to use technology to help the people and not just to sell some sort of product or something like that.
Beautiful, very well said.
Heavens no. Terrence doesn't just want to sell you some crap or some kind of renewable energy product. Terrence Daniels isn't trying to run some energy renewable energy scam for God. No. He's a technology activist. There's some activism in there. Can I ask you a question, honey?
Sure.
What's a technology activist?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what a technology activist would be doing.
What I'm wondering is, we use technology and we do activism in the course of doing media justice work So are we technology activists, or do you need a drone for that? I'm wondering.
Well, if you get a drone,
asking for a friend.
Well, I have a drone. I can legitimize my using it because I'm a technology activist. You can just make stuff up.
And I also have questions about where these folks got all these drones. How come all these Standing Rock people ended up with these drones, many of which disappeared, that were supposed to get used for Standing Rock, and suddenly they're getting used by all of these disaster vultures.
Yeah, it's true. That's true.
And it does make them look more legitimate. Don't you see that they made you fund all of these predators, all of these disasters vultures? America funded them. And it was the Hollywood people and the movers and the glitterati and the shakers and the Illuminati over in Washington, D.C. and in New York City and in California that planned it. They could have paid for it. The billionaires at Nexus could have paid for all of it. But instead, they want to make more money. And they want to do it while looking like they're doing something philanthropic. Whatever the latest thing is. Oh! Are there missing and murdered Indigenous women? Well, let's make money off of those dead bodies. There's a hurricane. Let's pretend we care. Let's go over there. Send some pedos and some rapists to do the cleanup.
Yep.
Send some alcoholics, some thieves, some meth addicts. Send them to do the cleanup work and the disaster work. Hopefully they won't hurt anyone.
Yeah.
Next, I wanted to show you... What's next, honey? Oh, this is... can you read that, one?
I'll try it to make it a little bigger so I can see
tiny.
it. Appreciate when people send this stuff, but boy, it's Catalina Tiemson.
That's Catalina, the woman that works for Ed in Activate Now.
Oh, this is the new correspondent in Florida. Thank you to this year's 4th annual Restocking Food Pantries Packing Party. Volunteers who sorted, weighed, and packed up to 1,710 pounds of donations. It's a new record. With Stephanie Thomas, Judith Turner, Simon Farrington, Edmund Higgins, Jonathan Fritzler, Jen Andrini, Taylor.
I don't have to read the rest of them. Most people don't know what they are.
Yeah.
You can note them with your eyeballs.
Yeah.
You won't see Ed Higgins in this picture.
Nope.
But I want you to pay special attention to that big billboard. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I was blowing my nose. I didn't want everyone to hear it, so I turned off my microphone momentarily and forgot to turn it back on. Ed's not in this picture, as you can see. But I want you to pay special attention to that poster that they are holding in the back. You can see that there are a number of organizations, supposedly. It looks like there's a bunch of different organizations represented on there that are working with this group, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they're all associated with Catalina and Jonathan Fritzler's Aloha project. Something. I'll show you in just a minute. So Operation Floats is part of the Everyday Hero stuff, and Activate Now is part of the Everyday Hero stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And what's that other one in the corner?
Down here?
I can't read it. What's the other one in the top corner? Can you read it?
Nope, I can't read it.
Okay, if you recognize what that one is, let me know. But, I mean, it looks like it has Martin Luther King on it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. But I can't read the words.
Huh?
I cannot read the words.
Oh, the lady has it on her shirt, too. Did you notice that?
Right here? Yeah, still can't read it.
They're all wearing T-shirts with that.
Mm-hmm.
So go back to what it says up there. 4th annual Restocking Food Pantries Packing Party Volunteers. So that's another one of her things that she does, that Catalina does. It's just called something else.
Yep.
Okay. Makes it sound like there's a whole bunch of different organizations.
I can see that.
All, just the same people with different groups of people doing different things and calling them different things. Let's go to the next one here. Why don't you read that?
Everyday Hero Project was live. St. Pete's Time Bank Politics, introduction of the Time Bank, and some members watch some exchanges.
Do you know what time banking is?
No.
It's something weird. Where you give a value to something like picking up trash. I'm just joking. I'm trying to think of something even more like nebulous, like the kinds of things that they talk about. She does a video. Is there a video coming up?
I don't think so.
Well, anyway, point is, like, activism in your town or giving someone emotional support. And they put a value on it so that you can trade
these
things. So you can time bank.
Got $100 worth of trash pickup, and
Volunteer
I'll trade it for painting my house.
Or volunteering to sit your cat or something like that.
All right.
Okay. Next. Read that one.
Only took us 1 year to meet. 3-day interview with Corey Fritz. Get the stuff done week. Loving the fact he wanted to attend the cooperative business class by Florida Cooperative Empowerment Economic Development facilitated by Judith Turner. And this is...
Payu Bain.
Oh, yeah.
Remember Payu?
Yeah.
We'll talk more about him. But Payu Bain started Mazacoin with Chase Iron Eyes. And Payu Bain was also the same guy that was posting a bunch of crap very similar to Von Bolage and Bill Runningfisher about all the crimes that were happening in the camp that they had to report to the police and all this other stuff. Okay. Boondocks. Now I want you to go through these and show each one of the... This is the Boondocks K9 that she's talking about, where she's doing training. She's posting this on Activate Now.
Mm-hmm.
And Boondocks K9 is another, Everyday Hero project of hers. And if you'll go to the IRS and the 990 following these, please explain what you found on that.
Let's have a look at this. This is the Boondocks K9 Search and Rescue Unit. Is basically have to look at that they're a 501c4. I did not know that. If they're a 501c3, they're not 501c4. They're not tax deductible. It means they're a charity, but your donations are not tax deductible. So they're a search and rescue, but they're C4, which is odd because C4s usually are political. C4s usually lead. They do political work, and they do it under the nonprofit laws, but they're not tax deductible. That is interesting. So that organization is a C4. They call themselves a charity, and the filing type is, let's see. Excuse me for a moment. Gives a EIN, a 990 filing, and they have a 990 on here. Now this is their tax form that they would send to the IRS. Boondocks Canine Search and Rescue Unit Incorporated. And it looks like they didn't have a lot of money, but they, in a $30,000-$70,000 range. And this is a 990 EZ, which doesn't have much detail, and this is from tax year 2017. They went ahead and did that for them, but their grants and contributions were $19,000, but then they lost $36,000. So they wrote off. They had a less of an income of all that money, and net assets at the bottom minus $36,000. So they weren't a big nonprofit, but they weren't technically a nonprofit. They're a 501c4, which is not the charity that you would write a check to and get a tax deduction. So that's interesting that the Boondocks Canine Search and Rescue Unit is a C4.
It's also defunct now, as you saw.
And it's defunct now too. You don't file, you lose it. After 3 years, you lose your status.
And they did.
Yeah.
They lost it. So
yeah.
There's another defunct organization in the group of defunct organizations we keep finding associated with these phonies, like Ed Higgins's Activate Now itself, which is, as I told you, no longer a 501c3.
Mm-hmm.
What do we got next? So the canine search and rescue unit that they have, according to this, why do they always get all these dog kennel things involved? They did Standing Rock as well, and it's like they want to bring in all of these different.
It's a community emergency response
businesses.
Team.
These different kind of phony businesses, honey.
Yep.
Phony nonprofits, so that they can funnel in money and use it for whatever the hell they want.
Mm-hmm.
And, people in Hollywood and people in politics and policy making that want to turn a quick buck on some energy scam like Wes Clark and others around him, or their blockchain or whatever their newest scam is. They want it to be done under the guise of philanthropy and saving people. So they look like heroes simultaneously. And these people are giving them the agency to do it. It is horrifying and sickening that they're doing that, because look at the mess they leave in their wake everywhere they go. Everywhere they go. Next, we've got... What do we got? Can you read that one for me?
From our meeting with Operation Float, Paiute Harris Black Flag Search and Rescue.
Black Flag Search and Rescue. I apologize for the quality of the pictures. They're not mine. Yep. It's pictures of Catalina there in the dark, but I wanted you to see it mostly for the Black Flag Search and Rescue. And if I am not mistaken, I am pretty sure that is a picture, the one that's dark, of Jana Stone and Catalina Tiamson, the new Activate Now.
Oh, okay.
It's important for you to remember this woman's name, Jana Stone.
Jana Stone.
Is she tagged at the top there?
Nope.
But Paiute Harris, which is also Paiute Vane, the same guy we just talked about, is connected to this. He was connected to Yvonne Bolage. He was connected to Bill Runningfisher. He is connected to Mazacoin and Chase Iron Eyes. All of those phony people. All of them.
Yep.
And some of them, of course, as you know, are criminals or helped cover up the crime in the Kathleen Bennett case. And next we have a post by none other than Dee Dee Banerjee.
Oh, yeah.
Who is she promoting? Why, it's Black Flag Search and Rescue. What does she say they are? They're good medicine as opposed to bad medicine, right?
Yeah.
Nurse Dee Dee from Standing Rock. Is this your prescription? If this is the prescription, write me another. Because you know what? This woman has been peddling. They had a medic and healer council at Standing Rock where they had some real doctors and a bunch of fake ones like Dee Dee Banerjee that really didn't do anything but pick up men and hang out and drink at the casino. But what does that matter? She can now tell people with all her live streams and appearances on all these other media platforms, she can go out and make a name for them off of her fame. She can tell people, fund this person. Remember how she was raising money for Susie and Mike Bassett and a whole bunch of these phony people, a bunch of these people that were out there lying about their involvement in setting up innocent folks that went to Standing Rock in very dangerous situations like the ones that people found themselves on November 20th and October. Excuse me. So one of the many people... what's the next one, honey?
Whoop, it's not coming up. Freezing up.
Oh no.
Oh, there we go.
Does that mean we gotta stop the show?
Nope. Show must go on. So, Aloha Movement Project, some IRS information.
So this is going to show you the Aloha movement, and it tells you. Well, why don't you do these better than I do?
Okay.
It says.
To make it bigger, can't see it very well. It's Form 990. It's for the Aloha Movement Project.
Where is it based, honey? What's the address on that?
Honolulu.
Honolulu, Hawaii.
Aloha.
And what's the legal name of the business?
Aloha Movement Project.
And what is the principal officer's name?
Jonathan Fritzler.
Jonathan Fritzler, who's from Honolulu.
Yep.
And their website is
everydayheroproject.org.
Oh. So their nonprofit is not called Everyday Hero Project.
No.
It's always been the
Aloha Movement Project.
Aloha Movement. It started off as the Aloha Movement, and I'll show you in a minute what Jonathan Fritzler is and was about, and what his friend, what's her name, Karen Tiamson, the new Activate Now reporter, really had started off as. Here is the Aloha Movement Project's website, I think.
Yeah, something like that. Probably was. And it shows the address.
Yeah.
And
what is the classification?
Classification codes.
In care of the name of Catalina Farrington.
There we go. There's a connection on
Jonathan
paper.
Fritzler and her are the people that run this thing.
Mm-hmm.
He's like a Tony Robbins kind of guy. He's a motivational speaker. Yeah. You know how Marianne Thompson Frank was doing all of those videos about expanding your mind and all this weird, new agey, hippy dippy BS about how you invest and all this crazy stuff that they're talking about? That's Jonathan Fritzler in a nutshell.
Right.
More of that. Super white, totally lost in his own BS. Kind of like Sean Stone or Wes Clark.
Yeah.
Or Christina Hollenbeck or any of these weirdos. What did you see on the rest of that? You just took it down.
Oh, it was just they just have a website. That's it.
That's it? It doesn't say anything?
Not really.
There wasn't words on it? What did it say right there in their classification down there?
Oh, it just says that they're deductible, that they're
a nonprofit.
Just a nonprofit. And they, we just saw they filed their 990 postcard EIN, so they don't raise over $50,000 according to what they report to the IRS. So they don't have to have details of anything, pretty much just their address and that they check the box that says they have not raised more than $50,000.
Okay, I haven't shown you anything near what I'm going to show you in my upcoming show about what they went and did in Puerto Rico. But just from what you've seen so far that they're involved with, their pedal pub, the semi-vehicles that you saw, the donations they're moving from one state to another, the number of people they're offering free trips and bus rides to different towns.
They would spend more than $50,000.
Does that sound to you like it's possible that these people are taking in $50,000 or less, or does that sound like they're...
I think they're playing a shell game, because if you look a little closer, when they put the EIN numbers on these documents, it makes it easier to search for the federal and the state documents, because it's a tax ID number. Pretty much everybody has one, but without that, it's harder to search. And if you look up the records, the state records in Honolulu, in Hawaii, you'll find that that this Fritzler, what's his first name, Jonathan? He has also incorporated about 4 or 5 other trademarks underneath the same nonprofit, and then their youth organizations and all these sorts of things. And I think what, even though they're not separate nonprofits, they're separate trademarks. So you can have a company name, an incorporation here, incorporated there. I would think that they're funneling money through some of these, because those trips and if you go to each one of the trademarks and kind of look up their activities, they're doing stuff all over the country and world. they're going to other countries with groups of people, and the travel costs are
large groups
very
of
very
people.
expensive. So to be under that $50,000 threshold, I question. I'm not an auditor, and I'm not looking at their actual books. From what I see, though, with the trademarks being added into these organizations, it's like a way for money to flow around, kind of like what Nexus is doing. Nexus is getting money through a foundation, and that foundation is getting money from another foundation. They're not actually a nonprofit, but they're funneling money through it. And so there's ways you can actually kind of fudge on your taxes when you kind of run things that way. It's not traceable very well. It's like, having money in the Cayman Islands, and sheltering it. You're doing that through other trademarked organizations.
I think a lot of these orgs or supposed orgs are trying to do exactly that, my love. That is exactly what they're doing it. And it's really disturbing to see how easily they pull it off and pull the wool over the rest of our eyes. Like, do you really expect me to believe? I'm not an auditor either, honey. But I looked at the amount of money that's on their GoFundMe's.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
This trip for here and there, and they're like raising $7,000, $10,000. Come on, don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. There's something fishy going on. Somebody call the IRS because that I don't know. And these disaster vultures shouldn't get away with it. It seems very, very strange. Next, we've got those books I was telling you about. You see, here is one of his books that he does. Hack Your Education, free download. Here's some great ways that you can create the way that we use school to research to have a real impact in the world and empower students to be the change. What does that mean? Who the hell knows?
Yeah, really.
Hack Your Education, turning your projects into profits and making your passion your profession. It sounds like a bunch of mumbo jumbo.
Yeah.
And it's probably exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Turn your school into a tool.
Add the card.
Make your dreams come true. Apply today for
mentorship.
It reminds me of like those little cartoon ads in the back of comic books where it said, send away for this, and we'll send you a book that'll make you a genius, or we'll send you this book that will show you how to become a strong man instead of a nerd. It's like, oh my God. The next one here is Fritzler doing a live stream for the Everyday Hero Project, and it says, on the other side of the country, the Activate Tour continues, as our EPH treasurer at Jonathan Fritzler reports. So he's the treasurer.
Okay.
He's reporting for the Activate Tour, for Activate Now, the organization that Catalina is now correspondent for.
That's right.
As well. And those other two people we previously mentioned whose names I just forgot. Okay?
Yeah.
Next. What is he asking about there? This is going to give you a little insight into Jonathan Fritzler and what he's really about and what he really cares about. Okay?
Yep. Securities laws keep ordinary investors out of these high growth markets, forcing the little guy to stick with the stock market that some describe as holding pen for massive sleepy corporations. Thanks for sharing, Ronak Pakzad. Fueling, powering corporate America, $2.4 trillion in private fundraising.
Yeah, he's tired of being held back. He's tired of being a little guy.
Yep.
He's tired of being just, sort of wealthy. He wants to be super rich. He wants to be Marianne Thompson Frank rich.
Yep.
You see?
Yep.
Here's another one.
Are you accredited investor? Potential opportunity on horizon. You'll want to know about.
Do you have money to invest in my
so he's out there
book
fishing
or my sham?
He's out there fishing. Oh, count me in. Accredited? Yes.
What the hell does that mean?
An accredited
Because
investor.
all these people are asking, what's an accredited investor?
I know.
How much money do you have? I have $50,000 squirreled away.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't make the list.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, If they say, well, I'm a millionaire,
Yeah.
you are an accredited investor, my
That's
friend.
right. How much you got? You're accredited.
Yep.
Step on down.
Give me some of your money.
Uh-huh.
And what does he say in this one,
He says,
honey?
have any friends applied successfully to receive the foreign earned income exclusion up to $100,000 tax-free income for not living in the U.S.?
What does that make you think, honey?
He's been living out of the country and has some cash that he wants to hide.
That he wants to hide
That's what I see.
and not pay taxes on.
Yeah, and these people are responding, I could entertain the idea, stationed overseas in the military. Yes, count me in. Okay, he's trying to roll in some money here.
That's Jonathan Fritzler for you.
Yeah, well, here's a 7-year.
Everyday heroes.
Yep.
He posts a picture of the Aloha Movement project from 7 years ago with his gal pal, Catalina Tiamson.
Yep.
And he says, Catalina and I explode from the depths of the cove, flying into the sky straight toward the moon. If you can see it in the picture above, Catalina Senti. So she must have gone by Catalina Senti before she became a Tiamson.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she's married to him, but they are definitely having a good time on the beach.
Yep.
An air shot. They look like they're probably in Hawaii.
Yep.
And if you go all the way to the top, it was posted from 7 years ago at the time. He posted it in March of this year. And he said, everyday heroes activate with Catalina Farrington.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yep.
The next one here shows you something from their Aloha temple. Could you read this for me, honey?
I sure can. Temple of Aloha at an event. A divine...
I want you to go real slow and to read it very carefully so that you enunciate
A
all the words.
divine feminine pamper night.
A divine feminine pamper night.
Kahu Lomi teacher priestess Catalina Kiona Farrington and 2 Temple of Aloha students, Jenna Shiver and Chikiaka.
Okay, I changed my mind. I'm going to read it.
Yeah, I can't read these names. Sorry.
Okay, it's all right. No, it's not about the names. It's that I think that you're not giving enough emphasis to what you're reading because this is Temple of Aloha. Okay? It's a temple. This is some holy stuff, I think. Divine Feminine Pamper Night. Kau Lomi teacher, priestess, Catalina Kauinoa Farrington, and 2 Temple of Aloha students, Jenna Shiver and Chikyaka Robinson, will give 15-minute massages to spread Lomi love seeds. Do you know what Lomi love seeds are?
No, I do not.
What does this sound like to you?
It sounds like an orgy.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because this is an intimate evening. Well, you might be on the right track there, Duke. Because it is intimate, it says here. We would like everyone who comes to receive a massage. I wonder if it has a happy ending.
Yeah.
Attendance will be restricted to the first 10 people who commit to attending. Chiyaka, Catalina, and Jenna not included in this count. In the spirit of the Valentine holiday, this is a pass. Oh, this is a pass it on pamper night, illustrating the power of the Everyday Hero Exchange Time Bank. So if you go there, you have to pass the massage on as part of the Time Bank. They're going to give you a free massage when you go there. What if you don't know how to give massages? How are you supposed to give a massage to the next person? Or does massage mean something else? You know?
Yeah.
Free Aloha Temple massage. Is that like code for free booty pass? Free booty call? With random stranger? Is this how they exchange sexual favors and trade them?
Maybe.
This is weird.
Yeah.
Please bring your favorite shade of nail polish for someone else's nails and your favorite lotion to rub someone's hands and feet. Well, maybe it's just hands and feet. But what about the love seeds? And a hanging pendant for our group pineal gland. What is the pineal gland? What is the pineal gland? Somebody Google that right now in my studio and come and whisper it in my ear. The pineal gland clearing exercise. I am dying to know what that is. Nemo, I hope you're Googling right as I speak. And then it says, I can't wait to see you beautiful souls. The love donation for this event is, here's the donation cost, Robert. Ready? An open heart, an honest intention to love, a sincere gratitude for receiving, and of course, a soul full of aloha. Please be prompt for opening ceremony. Please bring flowers or leaves or branches to contribute to the community bouquet. If you don't have anything, you can cut something from our yard.
Oh, jeez.
Lomi Love Night.
10 people went.
And where was it? Well, it was reserved to 10 people. Remember it said the first 10 people, that's who gets the what's the pineal gland? Do I want to know? You don't know yet?
It was in St. Petersburg, Florida.
So this happened in Florida, okay?
Yep.
That's another thing that the Aloha Movement Project is associated with. The Aloha Temple.
I see.
And these
Hello, Temple.
massage parties?
Yep. Love night, said.
Love nights, excuse me? Okay. Next, what we got?
Another book.
Can you read it?
It's your second book. Check out our treasurer, Jonathan Fritzer's second book, just out. Congratulations, Jonathan, and anyone who buys this book will not regret it. The Art of Establishing an Internship. The Business Guide to Expanding Capacity Through Education, Energy, and Internships. It's like, huh.
Oh, I found out what the pineal gland is. A small endocrine gland in the vertebrae of the brain.
Oh, wow.
So anyway, what are they talking about here in the Art of Establishing an Internship?
Yeah.
Jonathan Fritzler. What's a GA?
Couldn't tell you.
No idea?
No.
The Business Guide to Expanding Capacity Through Education, Energy. What do you suppose that even means?
I don't know.
It sounds like a bunch of mumbo jumbo, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, trying to sell something and say, this is how you can get free labor,
It just sounds like it's like something that sounds great, but probably is not. Okay, what's the next thing?
We have this Mind Lab video.
Okay, this is one of his videos that explains his you know how Marianne Thompson Frank did those videos with her organization, the whatever that was, Non-Scene Institute thing that's kind of very temple-y like, in its I don't know. Well, Mind Lab is the same thing except for the Aloha Movement Project. It's the same thing. It's just for Jonathan Fritzler.
Okay.
But no less crazy and weird. So here's the Mind Lab.
Welcome to the Mind Lab. This is a very important experiment. You're going to want to take notes. Grab a pen, a piece of paper, and print out your worksheet. Warning, the information and techniques we're about to share may cause massive breakthroughs in your life and business.
Welcome to the Mind Lab Masterclass. In this program, you'll learn how to apply the scientific method to your goals. We'll also run experiments to hack into the mind, and we'll integrate practical quantum physics, neuroscience, and heart research to create new trajectories for success.
People attend the Mind Lab for two main reasons. One is to access the untapped power of the human mind, and two is to be able to create an epic strategy for their future. In our experience working in business and professional development, we've seen that many people have big dreams, but oftentimes have a hard time achieving their goals.
I feel like I'm at a crossroads of not being fulfilled with what I'm doing and really wanting to step out on faith. And this workshop has allowed me to have the tools that I need to realize that I can do this and it is possible.
You're about to experience the results of all our research in a 7-module program.
So part of that is activating the quantum vacuum.
Wait, we're going to activate the quantum vacuum right now?
Reality disruptor.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Right here on
quantum
camera?
vacuum
Tyler, wait. Hold on.
Wait,
Time
was
out.
it repaired? Was it fixed?
Well, just before we do this, I mean, we have to explain to them a little bit about quantum physics first. Literally, their mind would explode if we were to activate the quantum vacuum right now.
Let's talk a little bit about quantum physics. So we explored the leading scientific research in the power of the mind and quantum physics, and we discovered a link between these scientific breakthroughs and our own methodology of personal development.
By applying these advancements in science with the MindLab consciousness technology, you too can begin to align your future with the strategies and the design of nature, biology, and the cosmos to begin creating your future now.
The MindLab methodology has been tested in cities across the U.S. and the world in live MindLab experiences.
Yes, we've shared the MindLab with hundreds of individuals, from academics, conscious entrepreneurs, leaders in the community, and people just like you. And throughout the process, we've gotten tons of feedback and been able to fine-tune the experience.
Money, love, power, joy, gratitude flows through it. And it's just like a natural, of course, obviously, that's how it works kind of thing. And that's what I was looking for, and that's what I got.
Yeah, I'm really happy that I came. I actually changed my flight to come back here tonight so I could come, so that was definitely worth the investment on that.
Burning Man, Hive.org, Landmark Forum, I've done ayahuasca, and this is like a combination of like so much of that stuff and then turning into something useful and actionable.
And so far it was the best workshop that I've ever been to in my life.
I feel a little bit dumber now. I feel dumber having watched that. Did you understand anything that they were saying?
No, and it made my computer freeze too. I don't know. I don't know what that was about. It's like, what the heck is going on? You know, and Cindy and I was just joking. I have some steampunk glasses. I don't have them handy. They're in a box somewhere, but I was going to put those on, and I would enact a flux capacitor to get us going.
I mean, do these people sound like oil salesmen to you? Snake
Yes.
oil salesmen?
Yep, definitely.
It's just, it's a modern day con job. It's like a Tony Robbins kind of, I don't know how someone falls for that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was going to have you put on your steampunk goggles and engage the quantum compressor so we could blow everybody's minds, you know, or go to the moon or whatever they claim that this stuff can do for you. It didn't sound like it made any sense whatsoever to me. But it sounded a lot like the Marianne Thompson, Frank Menominee, like science and this and energy. And, you know, it's just like... It's a con. Feels like a con. Looks like a con. Sounds like a con to me. And the next thing we have here is the Everyday Heroes Black Flag Search and Rescue Activate Tour with Jonathan Fritzler and Operation Float. Okay?
Wow.
Because they're going to go, well, have already gone in history and time, you know, like in the present day. This is from the past, right? March 25th of this year, they were going to go to Puerto Rico. And there they are in Isabela, Puerto Rico, and at Playa Jobos. And it says the whole Black Flag Search and Rescue crew wanted to come surfing so bad. So we went tarp surfing. I have been deeply moved by the commitment to service, a passion for supporting. You need to have fun, Duke. Remember that.
I guess.
Supporting people who need it the most. This past week has reminded me that life is not just about making money. He needed to be reminded.
That's right.
But also about making an impact. It sounds just like Christina, just like Marianne. You get it? You're hearing the... Some of these people have so little, but they give 100% of their time or energy in their life to serving people and animals. It is beautiful. You don't need anything to give everything. These teams need your support, our support. If you feel called to donate toward their cars, towards their cars, please PM me. They deserve it. Volunteer, service, donate. Hurricane Irma, Hurricane Maria. So, Florida to Puerto Rico.
Yep.
And I wanted to start a. How many more do we have after this?
Oh, if you see on there.
Right there. I wanted to go ahead and start another continuation of this program on another video, because I don't think that we're going to be able to play the full call.
No, we won't.
And I want to be able to set it up first.
Okay, we're going to end this live stream, and we're going to start up another live stream. It'll be Disaster Vultures Continued.
Now, before I leave, real quick, I'm going to set it up. But prepare for that, and tell your friends to follow us to the next video, because you want to see. And I want you to be able to hear the whole audio clip I'm about to play with you from a phone call that I had with Victoria Dargan. A year ago, I contacted, well, more than a year ago, during this Florida Hurricane Irma, I saw that one of my personal Facebook friends and former resident of our hometowns, who now is living in Florida, had posted that she was going to be hosting Activate Now's Ed Higgins, and my heart fell to the ground. And some of the people on my friends list that knew about Ed's activities and the allegations of sexual assault against him, etc., and fraud and theft and other things, and what was going on around the country, contacted me when they saw this and said, hey, turns out this person is your friend, and what's going on with them? Did you not tell them? And I was like, I don't think she wouldn't do this if she knew, of course. I mean, like, obviously she probably got taken just like everybody else. So I contacted her, and I confronted her basically. Well, I guess I didn't. I assumed she didn't know, but I told her, I'm writing to warn you, this person is dangerous, and I'm going to show you the messages that I sent to her at the time. And she said basically that it really didn't matter to her. She called the allegations that I told her about rumors, which the tone of that at the time made me think that, you know, I'm not just anyone. I'm a reporter calling you to tell you that this is going on. And I did send her the DUI video of him drunk, harassing Mona after I had this conversation, because as you'll recall, Mona left Activate Now right after she was in Florida at this woman's house. Okay. So I followed up by showing her, like, in case you needed some more verification, she didn't really respond to that video. Like, oh goodness, I maybe should have listened, or maybe I should listen now. So I didn't just push back once, I pushed back twice to her, to tell her, you know, as a friend, as a you know, a former neighbor, you know, hey, this person is dangerous, and I want to make sure you're safe, that you know that there is a potentially dangerous person in your vicinity. And she said, I've heard, like, she already knew about some of this stuff, which was very disappointing and frightening to me, because I thought, like, so you heard there are rumors about him, and you're okay with that? Have you vetted any of these rumors? Because I have, you know, as I was thinking in my mind. But it felt like, and she also said something along the lines of, like, don't worry about me, I'm okay. So, you know, at that point, I dropped it, and it wasn't until the Jordan Sheridan, no, with the Lacey Jean Williams rapes that were going on, and the fact that Activate Now was, and members of Activate Now were once again involved in crime that involved the cover-up of a reported rape and kidnapping of Mulaney's not adopted foster child, I think.
Yeah.
One of these foster children. See, if you're one of Mulaney's foster children in her care, these are some of the kinds of things that could happen to you, because this is what's happened to Lacey. And so I was trying to comfort one of Ed's victims, and we were having a conversation because here she was seeing again that Ed was involved in another crime, and kind of reliving her resentment over the fact that she had come forward probably almost a year prior to that, and nobody that had heard about this, even the people that were hosting him, like this woman, Victoria Dargan in Florida, seemed to care. They just went ahead and hosted him anyway. And so she asked me, when did I tell Victoria, and what exactly did I say to her, or to other people that I told that were giving him support after his crimes. And I looked in my messenger messages to see when I contacted her, and I was trying to copy paste my conversation so I could share it with one of his victims. And when I did that, I accidentally sent it to the woman herself, which I had not messaged since a year before. And so she sent me a question mark, like, why did you do that? Why did you just send me a screenshot of our conversation? And I said, oh, well, I was going to share it with one of Ed's victims who just now, upset at the latest crime that he's involved with, was asking me, why didn't anyone listen to me before? What did you say to the people you told, etc.? And so she immediately called me. And what you're about to hear is what transpired on that call. So I'm going to now close off this live stream and follow us to part 2, or the continuation of Disaster Vultures. Wait a minute. There is more to come. Thank you.